Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown. Joining me is Andrew Meadows.
I am here. We are here together.
That's right. We took another extended break after we talked a lot about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and many other things, such as Andrew Meadows now being Papa Meadows, bringing in Baby B to the world and everything. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a break since then, but we're back. We're back yet again for more Watch, Review, Repeat goodness. And this episode will be a little bit different than last time. Last time really was a ton of catch-up. This one will be catch-up in some different ways. We'll have some more news on this episode, but it's just the two of us this time. I don't know if Baby Bennett will make a cameo appearance yet again. We'll see.
We'll see what he's up to. He's pretty.
We'll see how he's feeling. Yeah,
things,
he's got a schedule, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on this episode. We're skipping right over The Flash. We're skipping right over, I feel like there's at least one or two other June releases that once upon a time we probably would have, caught and covered. But dad life's, it hits a little different. So your times, you gotta be flexible, right?
I'm drinking a coffee, if that tells you anything.
It tells me everything I need to know. It's exactly what it tells me. Yeah. But Indiana Jones, man, it's such a staple of a franchise, I think, for the both of us.
That's
that
right.
It feels like a must-cover kind of movie. Regardless of the quality of the film itself or our feelings on the film itself, this is the last, hurrah for Indiana Jones as a franchise, or at least, hopefully as a franchise. Certainly the last outing for Harrison Ford as Indy. But it's a good one to cover because, and this is sort of a fun fact, once upon a time, we did a bonus episode on the entire Indiana Jones franchise at that point, which was just 1 through 4. Yes, the fourth one was included. Yes, Crystal Skull is a movie, even though sometimes we choose to say that it isn't. But yeah, I just wanted to at least give that a quick plug. We put that episode out to the regular listeners July 16th of 2018. So pretty much literally 5 years ago, we put out our bonus episode of Indiana Jones to the masses. And I've actually spent some time re-listening to it. It's a little time capsule. It's been kind of fun to see my thoughts on the Indiana Jones franchise back in the day, see how they maybe align or don't align with how I feel about the movies now, because I have been doing a little bit of a rewatch just as a preview of coming attractions. But yeah, check it out. It's fun. I'd like to think that our podcast voices have developed since then. I feel like I almost affect like a deeper, Anna calls it my Coast Guard voice. And so I think I was rocking that a little bit, maybe in the early days of the pod. But these days, I'm not a military man anymore. I'm a little bit more comfortable. Maybe I'm using my lawyer voice. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right.
Oh wait, that's not a lawyer. That's the other guy.
Well, the lawyer voice gets that out of witnesses is what happens. So you want the truth. Strenuously object. Maybe that's a lawyerly thing to say from the same movie. But yeah, check out our Indiana Jones bonus episode. It's a good fun time. We talked all 4 movies then. I did a little sizzle for number 5 at the time, which we knew nothing about basically because it morphed different iterations. I don't think had been filming or anything at that point. So But yeah, check that out. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool little time capsule, as I said. So I'm glad that we get to go kind of full circle with some of the early days of the podcast, and now that we're here 5 years later, we get to close out the Indiana Jones franchise with an episode.
That's cool. That is cool.
I think it's neat. We're almost like Harrison Ford in that way. We're not nearly as cool, maybe not as handsome, but you know what? We're a little younger. That's right. We're younger than Harrison Ford. I said it. We're both younger than you. Can you believe that? Although technology may have something to say about that. We'll get to that shortly. But yeah, I'm really happy to be back talking about Indiana Jones, but just in general, just happy to be back. I think it's always fun to sit down.
On the cast.
I spent a couple weeks in Vermont. You've been back to work, still a dad, but back to work, and adjusting to that sort of lifestyle. So those are things we'll talk about later on in the episode. We'll do some catching up and see how things are going in Papa Meadows' life, and I'll fill everyone in on how things are going in my life and stuff like that. But for now, we have some business to take care of. The first order of business, other than all the things that I've already said, I wanted to issue a slight correction to something I said in the last episode, which, to be fair, for Andrew was a few weeks ago, so he probably doesn't totally remember.
Oh,
it.
man.
Maybe you do, though. This was a conversation I think that stood out. I said something about Tom Cruise being pissed about the IMAX screens with Oppenheimer. Do you remember us having this conversation? Right. Yeah, okay. So upon re-listening to that as I was editing it for the main release, which took too long, sorry folks that it took as long as it did from recording to release, I didn't edit it all in Vermont. I was on vacation, and you know what? I don't feel bad about it. I'm not apologizing. I take it back. I'm not apologizing. But basically, I said that Tom Cruise, I think what I said was Tom Cruise was pissed because Christopher Nolan was stealing all the IMAX screens with Oppenheimer. I kind of missed a very obvious thing, which is that Mission Impossible comes out before Oppenheimer. So the real story is that Mission Impossible is getting 1 week of IMAX screens, and that is what pisses Tom Cruise off. Because Oppenheimer comes in, steals all the IMAX screens, and has it locked up for the 2 week period once it comes out. So you get 1 week of IMAX Mission Impossible, and then that's it. You're fucked. Yeah, otherwise. So I'm saying it now, and we'll see if it makes a difference, because by the time this episode is released, Mission Impossible will probably be out or very close to being out, probably out, almost certainly probably out. And so your window for seeing an IMAX may have been really, really slim by the time this episode comes out. But I at least wanted to throw that out there to issue a correction on the record.
Gotcha.
And apologize to Tom Cruise. But, I understand his plight, but it could have been worse. I think if he had 0 IMAX screens, he would have had a real bone to pick. As it is, all right, you get a week. That's pretty standard, especially summer stuff where, every week there's a new release that comes out that's vying for premium formats and stuff like that. But anyway, so if you want to see Mission Impossible in IMAX, it drops in just a few days' time. Go check it out. Or it's already out if you're listening to this. If you're Andrew, it comes out in a few days' time. Let me clarify that. Okay. Now, with that said, I think I want to do a fun fact on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
What do you got?
Because Andrew's too busy. He's too busy being a dad. He doesn't have time for fun facts anymore. No, that's not entirely true, but in this instance, it is true. I wanted to talk about the de-aging technology that was utilized in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, because obviously it's a big part of a pretty sizable sequence in this film. And you kind of get this isn't a spoiler, you kind of get a sneak preview in any of the trailers that have come out, in which you see that Harrison Ford looks a little younger, and he's a little younger, and that's because there's a 25-minute sequence in the film of Indiana Jones when he was younger, I think in the 40s, basically. And the way that was brought to life is very interesting. I mean, obviously, de-aging technology is something that's pretty heavily utilized these days. We've seen it in a lot of the Marvel stuff. We've seen it in Star Wars with The Mandalorian. Tron Legacy was one of the earlier takes on it, which wasn't totally successful.
Star Wars.
Yeah, so it's hit and miss, right? Sometimes it's like pretty good, like Sam Jackson and Captain Marvel, incredible. And then sometimes it's a little uncanny valley at best, or just like outright bad at worst. So Indiana Jones is another take on the de-aging process and featured prominently in this film. I think the actual conversation on whether we think it works well in this film or not, we'll save that for later. We'll talk about that when we talk about the movie itself. But I at least wanted to highlight the amount of work that went into making this sequence possible. It took over 100 artists at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, spent 3 years on the VFX, basically getting this sequence into the I guess the version that it is, the final version. And they used a variety of technologies to basically bring it to life. So some of the ways that they did it, and this is not going to be a full exhaustive thing of it, but basically one of the things they did was build like a full computer-generated 3D head for Harrison Ford for Indy, in which they combined elements from on-set photography, and they used AI, there's that word, artificial intelligence, to basically feed in a bunch of reference material of Harrison Ford. Basically what they did is they took all the B-roll and everything from the old indie movies, fed it into AI to basically get like this 3D model, this 3D head model of a young Indiana Jones. Other things that they did, and it's the same technology that was used on The Irishman with Robert De Niro, with Al Pacino. They used something called face swap, they used something called flux, which is basically, I think the way that it works is they have, camera rigs on Harrison where it takes video of his face as he's performing, basically to get like the lighting reference and everything in, and then they used like additional dots on his face. So they have all this digital information in terms of how they're shooting it, where he's old and obviously a bit more wrinkled, whatever. And then you use all this data to go in and basically completely digitally replace his face with the younger face model. So it's pretty crazy, the amount of work and obviously the amount of people that have to, spend as much time as they did making this happen, this whole sequence happen. And James Mangold has said basically, like, once upon a time the sequence was short. It was like 5-10 minutes, and then he was kind of happy with how everything was coming together, so they ended up kind of expanding it out a little bit more to the full 25-minute sequence that it eventually became. So again, we'll save the conversation of whether we think it was successful or not for later, but I think this is kind of one of the more like in-your-face examples, I think, of we think that we can use this technology effectively, and we think that, we can bring back, prime Harrison Ford, or the 1980s era of Harrison Ford completely back. So it's interesting. If nothing else, it's interesting. So that's what I posit as a fun fact for the listeners is, the
3
process
years
and a little insight into the 3 years of tinkering with technology and AI and all of these VFX tools to bring this little 25-minute sequence to life. Interesting stuff. Technology. What is it all about?
I took the words right out of my mouth.
So, with all that said, let's get into things. I think it's a good time to get into things. So, we're not doing bonus movies or anything like we did on the last episode. So I've decided let's bring in a lot more news. Let's try to play a little bit of catch up on the news. We won't be fully caught up by the end of this episode, but we'll have made pretty good headway, and so that's good progress. By the end of July, I think we'll be good. We'll be okay, because there's some movies in July that I think that we'll talk about right now. There's some movies I think we want to see, and I think there's some movies that I think we want to cover. So anyway, we'll get there. We'll start on a sad note, on a sour note, unfortunately, with an entry into our in memoriam section with the passing of Alan Arkin. Oscar-winning actor Alan Arkin died June 29th at age 89, which 89, that's a good run, I feel, but. An actor with an impressive resume, 7 decades of stage and screen acting. He won the Oscar for Little Miss Sunshine, which was
great
2007. Movie. Very good movie. Played the foul-mouthed grandfather in that movie. He also picked up an Oscar nomination, but not a win, a couple years later for Argo, Fuck Yourself, Ben Affleck's movie, which won Best Picture. And he had also been nominated previously for movies in the 60s called The Russians Are Coming, and The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, and I can't say that I've seen either of those. But yeah, he worked up until pretty much his death. He was recently in a Netflix series called The Kaminsky Method with Michael Douglas that he received several Emmy nominations for, and he's a very recognizable and affable actor who I think had an impressive resume, had a great body of work, just a fun actor, nice to see him and everything. So it's a sad loss. of course, but a hell of a filmography that he has left behind. Yeah, and and I haven't read anything about him being a bad person. Everything I've read is basically like, this guy was awesome. He's what you'd expect him to be based on the performances that he gives and all these things. Like, nah, he's as great as you'd expect and want him to be. Abigail Breslin, who played the granddaughter in Little Miss Sunshine, she said that he was one of the most kindest, gentlest, and hilarious actors she ever worked with. So, it's a sad loss, but again, just a great legacy that he does leave behind. So, and so many other roles that
he was in Gattaca.
Wouldn't have time to tell you about. And was he okay? I haven't seen Gattaca in a few years, so yeah. How
about that?
How about that? Exactly. Edward Scissorhands. He was in Edward Scissorhands. He played Winona Ryder's father, apparently. I don't even remember that, but I haven't seen that in a few years. But it's one of those things. I probably recognize him. Glenn Ross. He was on The Rocketeer. I said I didn't have the time to list all these, and I still don't. But there you go. There's just a few more examples of just like, shit, he was in that. Shit, he was in that. And that's the mark of a really good actor, is just popping up in so many awesome things like that. So. Anyway, rest in peace to Alan Arkin, 89 years old. Great actor. All right, so then we're going to move on to some headlines. We got 5 headlines, 5 trailers, and then it's indie time. We've got some good headlines, I think.
Okay.
We got some good trailers, too, don't get me wrong. Some good trailers, not all of them. At least one bad one.
We'll talk about it.
I think maybe just one bad one, but we'll talk about it. But some good headlines. So we'll start with the typical Disney release date shenanigans that they do seem to pull out every few months, of just being like, oh, we're just changing the whole fucking schedule and just deal with it. So a lot has moved around. There's a lot of delays and shuffling through 2031. So this goes out. This goes out a ways. All right, so I'm just going to really basically kind of follow this article in order. Otherwise, I'm going to miss a lot of things. But this includes Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, Disney, Fox stuff, etc. 20th Century Studios, excuse me, not Fox anymore. So let's see. Live action Moana has been moved to June of 2025. Deadpool 3 is one of the few films that is actually moving forward. So it's moving from November of 2024 to May of 2024, which means that Deadpool 3 is less than a year away now, which is cool. Untitled Star Wars movie. Could be any of the ones that they named at Celebration. Maybe it's the Taika one. I don't know. It's been set for December of 2026, so that's 3.5 years away.
God bless it.
Some of the big ones, all the Avatar movies, I believe, are moving back 1 year. So Avatar 3 is now December of 2025. Avatar 4 is December of 2029. I don't know why there's a 4-year gap there, but it's because I think he filmed the first 3, but not 4 and 5, I think is what happened.
Okay,
I think he filmed part of 4, but I think he has to do more filming, so that explains why there's a big 4-year gap.
I thought he was waiting for another technological leap.
Well, that's probably what it is. He'll probably reinvent everything and do everything in a completely different way.
We filmed this one in holograms.
3 is supposed to have like the lava Navi or whatever, so who knows what 4 and 5, it's going to have some sort of
shot in a fucking volcano.
Space Navi, so it's shot on the moon or whatever, so it's got real life moon physics because they're just shooting on the moon. Some shit like that. Or 5 will be on the sun. They've figured out the sunshine technology so they can get to the sun safely.
Get James Cameron up in fucking space.
Avatar 5, December of 2031. So there's your 2031. That's the only one I think that's dated that far in advance. And it's because, you know what? The Way of Water made a shit ton of money. I guess they're making all 5 now. Who can blame them?
That was the bet, wasn't it? He said, if it doesn't make any money, I'll stop.
Yeah, I think he said, I've made 2 and 3, so if 2 doesn't do well, then it's basically going to, be 3 and that's it, and 4 and 5 won't happen, and then people showed up in droves for 2, and so it's like...
Mic drop.
Right, all 5 are... They're all happening, people thought people didn't give a shit about Avatar, and we'll still be making that argument in 2 years, and then 3 will probably do just as well, so...
People like tech demos, Yeah.
Well, it was an impressive tech demo, I won't lie.
Yeah.
It was just kind of long, and it had that kid with dreads in it, and I didn't like that part. On the Marvel front, lots of stuff moving around besides Deadpool. Captain America 4, which once upon a time was called Captain America New World Order,
and
has now been retitled to Captain America Brave New World is moving from May of 2024 to July of 2024, so only a couple months there.
What the fuck is that title? I don't like that. I don't like the name change.
Well, so apparently New World Order shares, like, it's also the name of an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, and so I think that there's some thought that maybe Marvel wanted to avoid that conversation, and so they've just co-opted the title of a classic novel of Brave New World. So whatever. I agree. I think New World Order sounds better, but I guess I can kind of get the argument.
Yeah, the sidestep. Yeah, I guess.
Let's just not deal with fucking Nazis and whatever at this point. So because there's a lot of them these days. You thought they were gone. Nah, there's still a lot of them. There's still a lot here.
Let's
Indiana Jones Indiana Jones got rid of them all. He kicked all their asses. But no, still around somehow. But anyway, yeah, Brave New World, July 2024. Thunderbolts is then moving to December of 2024. I think that was originally on the July release date. Blade, which fucking Blade is just nothing but delays and dismays, is February of 2025 now. Fantastic Four is now May of 2025, and then all of the both of the Avengers movies are now getting pushed a full year each. So Kang Dynasty, which who fucking knows what's going on with Kang?
We haven't heard anything. What's the news on that?
It's I don't know. It's still an ongoing legal proceedings, so I don't know. There was an article, I think it was Rolling Stone, that came out and was basically like, yeah, this guy sucked even besides this incident, and then I don't know. And then there's maybe the woman that was involved in the incident was also getting arrested for domestic violence. I don't know. And I don't, like, who knows if the charges stick? Who knows if the charges stick here? If he gets convicted, who knows? It's all very messy and still ongoing. So I won't fully commit to that. But either way, Marvel says, let's give ourselves an extra year, some breathing room to figure out how the hell we handle his character moving forward.
Oh, man.
So Kang Dynasty is May of 2026, and then that puts Avengers Secret Wars at May of 2027. So that's what's going on with Marvel. More Star Wars. There's another Star Wars that's going to be in May of 2026. Another one is dated for December of 2027. All those, they're just untitled Star Wars movies, so who fucking knows what they actually are.
Okay.
And then I think last but not least, the new Alien movie, which is produced by Ridley Scott, but not directed by him. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, who did The Evil Dead 2013, Don't Breathe. Maybe I think probably one other thing since then. That's coming August of 2024, so that's its new release date. So that's, I think, everything. And the explanation for all this is production delays because of the writer's strike. A lot of these aren't filming. A lot of these can't start filming until they have a completed script, etc. Or in the case of Avatar, it's James Cameron again has to reinvent the entire visual effects that are possible in this world, so that each one brings something new to the table, that gets the audiences hooked, because it's not the fucking narrative at this point. It's not the blue people part. It's the wow, look at how good these blue people. These are real blue people that I'm looking at.
It's like the benchmark of CG. It really is.
It is. I mean, unquestionably. I mean, The Way of Water blows basically every movie in recent history out of the water in terms of visual effects prowess. Yes, I think so.
Every movie I see, I'm like, somebody said, oh well, the CG looked. I thought the CG looked pretty good. I said, well, did you see Avatar?
Yeah.
Like, you can't. Can you honestly say this looks good? Looks like
Does
a
it
fucking
look
video
as good
game.
as Avatar? I mean,
looks like a video game compared to Avatar.
Yeah.
It's the benchmark. So let him make his tech demo. So it's whatever. It's cool.
He knows what he's doing. For his other flaws, perhaps he knows what he's doing, at least in terms of the technology. So anyway, I think that was probably a little bit of a long and winding mess of getting through all those release dates. And you're like, how many fucking Star Wars? How many Avatar movies? Marvel's doing what? I get all that, but that's what Disney's got going on, at least for some of their live action stuff. For the next few years, I'm sure we'll get more movies other than Avatar, and that 2026 to 2031 stretch or whatever. But we're a few years away from that. They've got some time to tinker around, figure out what everything's going to actually be. So
their D24 is going to be lame as hell because they're padding themselves out so far. All right, guys, we got nothing to announce. We've already announced it, and it's out for the next decade. So
Well, and it's going to be even tougher because all this shit's probably going to get pushed back even more if the writer's strike continues to drag on. Which, by the way, status check on that as of early July, still going on. So,
still striking.
Still no resolution to that thus far. Still going strong.
Man.
So yeah, and it's just going to have repercussions for a while to come in terms of just getting.
How long
things
did
moving.
how long did that first writer's strike go on for? The one that took out Heroes.
I think the 2008 one was a few months at least. So I think if it tracks with that, we've still got some time. Still got more time with this writer's strike. So, yeah,
Jeez.
we'll see how it all kind of resolves. But as of now, still going. So yeah, any thoughts on the release date stuff before we move on?
No, it's
3
it's a
months
shame
and
to
8
see
days.
things.
3 months and 8 days was the other one. So.
It's a shame to see things getting padded out. I hope that in padding things out, people are actively working on the projects to make them the best projects they can be. If you have the extra time, hopefully it's being utilized. It's not being rushed and then put in the closet until the release date. Be optimistic about this sort of stuff. Maybe we'll get more refined projects. So that's cool.
Yeah. Current writer's strike is at 2 months and 1 week for the record. So theoretically, if it tracks with the last one, maybe it'll be done in a month. But who knows? We live in different times. So
wonder what
we'll
the terms are. Are the terms outlined online? Can you read the terms of
yeah, I'm sure. I think you can probably see what the writers themselves want, which obviously does
fair pay.
The studios are not agreeing to that. I think fair pay is one. I think AI restrictions are definitely a big sticking point, which obviously wasn't something that happened in the 2008 one. So I don't know. Really, there's really I have no idea how it's going to resolve or when it's going to resolve. That's fully just a big question mark. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll keep tabs on it. But we'll move on right now. We'll move on because we've got a lot of casting to talk about in terms of headlines. And we'll start with something we talked about briefly. I think we said that DreamWorks and Universal are doing a live-action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon, which is a fantastic animated franchise. 3 incredible, excellent films, highly recommended. Amazing sand technology in that third one, particularly. We've certainly talked about that before. But they've started casting for the live-action roles, and so Hiccup and Astrid, kind of the two main characters in this, the children, at least in the first one, and then by the third one, Hiccup's like fucking old and got a beard and shit. So we'll see how long it takes for them to adapt all the live action ones. They'll have to really stretch it out if they want to keep the same actors. But Mason Thames, who was the main kid in The Black Phone, the horror movie The Black Phone from last year, is going to be playing Hiccup, which is the main character with Toothless, and then alongside him is going to be Nico Parker, who was Sarah in The Last of Us for that first episode, and then kind of recurring for some episodes, I think, throughout the rest of the season. Mostly not as an actual character, for the record, but she's going to be playing Astrid, who I think is kind of like the love interest character for Hiccup, who's she's also like a badass dragon rider, kind of part of the village and those movies as well. So there you have it. You have your two leads who are both pretty young, and certainly room to age up with the material. It's set for a March 2025 release date, starting filming. Looks like maybe later this year is actually when they're going to start filming it. So they're moving right along with this. I guess they already had the script written on this because they already had the movie ready. They're like, we're just going to do the first one, but it's now real people. So.
Did you? I thought it was perfect. Did you see the casting news that Alan Tudyk's playing the dragon?
I had not seen that. Is that? I mean,
no, I made that up. It's
okay. All right. Well, you had me hook, line, and sinker because I'm like, you know what? It's not Disney, but leave it to Alan Tudyk to just say I can fucking be any animated role. Although and Toothless just makes noises. He doesn't talk or anything, so that'd be a perfect Alan Tudyk role. So that may come to pass. You joke, you jest, you jape, but it may come to pass.
Might
we'll
be
see.
The way it is.
Anyway, what do you think about these two children playing these children in this movie?
Yeah, I think it could be good. I think they're both talented actors.
Yeah, good. I think the things that we've seen them in, they were good in. I feel like, we talk all the time about the Disney live action ones being completely unnecessary, and this is maybe still along the same lines, but good movies can be good movies in different incarnations as well. You know what I mean? So,
That's right.
So there's no reason these can't be good. It's just, and at the same time, the animated ones will always be there. So anyway, yeah,
it's about the way I feel about it. If you just make a good movie, you know what I mean? Make a good movie. It doesn't right. It doesn't matter.
I think to me the most interesting wrinkle here is it's the same guy that directed the animated movies that's writing and directing this. And like that seems unprecedented. Like that's not what Disney does. Disney's like, let's bring in Guy Ritchie to make Aladdin because why the fuck not? Let's get weird with it. Let's get Johnny V to make The Lion King, but it's the same thing. Like this, I don't know. Is he going to do something different because he's like, well, I already did it the one way. Now I have to do it a different way. Or is it going to be very much just a straight adaptation? I don't know. We'll find out. So it could work. It could definitely work. Good, really, really good movies. If nothing else, check out the animated movies. And, if this works in live action, great. Maybe it brings in a new audience who think kids movies or who thinks, little Freudian slip, who thinks animated movies are for kids, which is not true for the record, which is not true. But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon.
It'd be interesting if it was, I wonder if it's going to be, geared more towards the people that grew up with How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Like now it's going to be
for a different audience. Yeah,
yeah. Like what if it's just told through the different lens? You know what I mean? To where the things that they're fighting and the things that they're doing, it's the same stuff, but it's
a little more mature. A little bit more realistic. Not as cartoony. Yeah. I mean, like even the dragon designs. Are the dragon designs going to be? Well, not like realistic dragons. You know what I mean? But are they going to be?
Yeah.
Less cartoony.
Is it the kid, like maybe How to Train Your Dragon, the cartoon or the animated film was like, I want to say through the eyes of Hiccup, but like through the eyes of Hiccup as an animated person, you know what I mean? As a kid. Whereas this one's going to be live action. It's going to be like really what it was, Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. We'll find out. We will find out when it comes out in 2025. At least we'll at least see a trailer that gives us an indication of kind of the tone and the visuals they're going for before then. But yeah, there you have it. Moving along, more casting news. Lots of casting news in this one. Mortal Kombat 2 is coming.
Gosh.
It's bringing back your faves. Cole Young is back. Louis Tan is back as Cole Young, I think. Jessica McNamee is back as Sonya. Josh Lawson's back as Kano. Everyone's back. Raiden's here. Jax is here. Liu Kang is here. Shang Tsung is here. Sub-Zero is here. Scorpion is here. Kung Lao is here. But there will be more. Oh, and Simon McQuoid is back to direct as well. But Mortal Kombat 2, let's see, when is this coming out? I think this is set for, a couple years. Or maybe it's, I don't know. This article isn't helpful. It doesn't tell me when it's coming out. But I can tell you that they've done a lot of casting. I think they're probably filming it pretty soon. I guess it doesn't have a set release date. Filming started in June of 2023, so it just started. So I maybe late next year, or the following year, early following year. We'll see. But anyway, the big casting news, the big casting news, and I think this is pretty much all of the newcomers. I think the biggest role, the biggest addition, Karl Urban is Johnny Cage.
No. Oh man.
So that's pretty sweet. And the rest aren't as exciting as that. It's more just, Mortal Kombat characters. But fucking Karl Urban is Johnny Cage. Not who I would have expected.
That's not, no, exactly. It's not,
but
that wasn't
I
my
love
first
Karl
thought.
Urban. So you know what? I'm okay with it. And hopefully it means that we get a perspective shift. If this is Johnny Cage's movie, because you don't bring Karl Urban just to be like a little supporting character at this point. Like got to let him be the guy now. Mortal Kombat 2, bring in Johnny Cage, make Johnny Cage your focal point. I think that could be really cool. But other characters / performers, Tati Gabrielle is going to be playing Jade. Adeline Rudolph is going to be playing Katana, and then we are getting Martin Ford, who's this big fucking dude with tattoos and shit. He's playing Shao Kahn.
Oh man, that's perfect.
Yeah,
he's perfect.
He's like 6'7", 6'8". Dude's ridiculous. Like he's fucking built. Desmond Chaim is playing the Adenian King Jared, who is
this guy's hilariously big. He's
comically large. He's perfect for Shao Kahn. King Jared is, I think, Katana's father. Anna to Nguyen is playing Queen Sindel, who is Katana's mother and gets kind of resurrected usually, and is as like Shao Kahn's bride, sometime down the line in the in the timeline of the franchise. And then finally, Damon Harriman is going to be playing Netherrealm demon Quan Chi. So the bald fucking guy with tattoos and stuff. So
okay, yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. So. You're getting a lot of the franchise mainstay characters, and you're getting a lot of newcomers. Johnny Cage obviously was a big notable absence from that first one. I think kind of teased at the end of the first one, but yeah, Jade, Katana. I think we got Melina in the first one for some reason. But yeah, Shao Kahn's a big deal. Quan Chi is kind of a more prominent character in some of the later games, but you know what? That first movie wasn't great, but it was fun. And I think
so much fun.
I think maybe there can actually be a tournament this time. That would be pretty fucking cool. Maybe there could actually be a Mortal Kombat this time instead of a fake Mortal Kombat before the Mortal Kombat. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I'm not gonna lie. I am looking forward to this. I am looking forward to seeing this fucking guy as Shao Kahn because he's so fucking massive. Get this guy a good hammer? Costume. Oh, give him They could give him the full weight hammer. He doesn't need the foam prop hammer. This dude could take a real hammer. Now you shouldn't give it to him because he would go real Mortal Kombat on actual people, and that would be bad for everyone involved, particularly the producers. Be a big lawsuit and maybe some criminal actions there. But yeah, I'm in. I'm in on Mortal Kombat 2. I'm not gonna lie. Sounds like you are as well.
Yeah, after that first movie, even despite its grievances, I think that I don't think there's a world where I don't show up for this movie. I had so much fun watching the first one. I thought, like I said, it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I look back fondly on that movie.
Agreed. Totally agreed. It's not great. It's got issues, yes, of course, but it's got some really fucking cool shit. I mean, it peaked in the first 10 minutes, to be fair, but it's still enjoyable in spite of that.
It just needs to be fun.
Yeah. Just do right by Mortal Kombat. That's all I ask. Yeah.
I could have gone without the non-character, but the build your own character guy.
Yeah, but we didn't need the audience insert character. That was kind of they always got to do shit like that. Where it's just like we can't trust the audience to just like some of these characters. Like again, if you're gonna do that, should have just done Johnny Cage from the get-go. That's literally what. I mean, I guess Liu Kang was kind of the main character of the '90s ones, but like Johnny Cage was like, Hollywood hotshot, and he's just like, what the fuck is all this shit you're talking about? Whereas Liu Kang was kind of in on the know, and at least there was like an audience insert to be like, someone that doesn't know what the fuck Mortal Kombat is and why we should care. Oh my god, that guy's got ice powers and he's got, this guy's undead. Like, someone to react to all those things in the appropriate ways. Anyway, they made that movie. They're making another one.
Awesome.
And we'll see how it turns out. And they're making another game, Mortal Kombat 1. They went from 11 to 1. They're turning back the clock, Xbox style. Xbox did 360, and then it went back to the 1.
How's that looking?
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's like it's a sort of reboot, but it's like a reboot within the story of the game. Like, I guess some slight spoilers, I guess, for the end of 11, which I didn't play. I just kind of know this from the setup of 1. Liu Kang has basically taken over as a god, like from Raiden. And with his godlike powers, he's basically rebuilt the universe as he has crafted it. So, like, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are friends and not rivals now. And, it's just kind of like changing different elements of the franchise. There was a trailer that came out the other day that Rain and Smoke are going to be, characters on the main roster. Johnny Cage was announced. I think Kenshi, Kung Lao. So, looks pretty fucking cool.
Cool.
Mortal Kombat games are always good. They still got the X-ray shit and, it's super disgusting and graphic and whatnot, but that's Mortal Kombat. That's what it's all about.
Mortal Kombat.
So, exactly. All right. Moving on. 2 more headlines. The Flash. We haven't really talked about it. Maybe we'll talk about box office stuff a little bit later when we talk about Indy. The Flash was not a successful box office film. Maybe it wasn't successful critically either. I don't know. Tom Cruise and Stephen King both said it was the best movie ever made, and DC is, the kings of the world. I think they got money hatted by WB. WB said, Tom Cruise, will you accept $1 million to go on Twitter and say how great this movie is? And they're like, yes,
I will.
Not a question about that. But the director of The Flash was Andy Muschietti, who prior to that had done the It films, It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2, which were pretty good. apparently James Gunn was happy with certainly his work on The Flash, because he's now tapped him to direct the upcoming Batman movie that's going to be part of the DCU, Chapter 1 of the DCU. So Batman, the Brave and the Bold is going to be directed by Andy Muschietti, which I guess, to be fair, The Flash was also basically I mean, the way they marketed it was, this is a Flash movie called The Flash, but also let's just pretend The Flash actually isn't in this. It's actually Michael Keaton's Batman, and it's Supergirl's in it as well. We don't care about that Flash character that much. Ignore the title. It's not really about him. It's not really about the Flash's character. It's about Batman and others. I haven't seen it yet, to be honest, and I think it's out of theaters at this point. I think it's probably going to go up on VOD pretty soon, so maybe you can. I
think it already is,
and report. If it's not now, it's very soon, I think.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Shazam. Probably thinking of Shazam.
Shazam's definitely been up. I think Shazam launched with Max when they made the switcheroo to just Max. But I think The Flash, because it's basically has no box office legs, I think will be on VOD very soon, so they can at least try to recoup some of the money. Although I read, I'll save it. If I remember to save, I'll just say it right now. Some of the reports are basically like, they will probably lose more money on The Flash than they did on Batgirl, if they had, just released Batgirl. So they all this fucking bullshit about gotta can Batgirl, so we can save on the taxes or whatever, and then Flash is going to lose them more money anyway. Honestly, good. Good is what I say. I don't, maybe The Flash was fine. Maybe it's even good. I have no idea. I'll watch it maybe at some point down the line, but good is how I feel about that. But I'm excited about a Batman movie. I'm excited about a new Batman. I'm happy that Robert Pattinson's Batman will continue to exist alongside all the other DCU stuff. That was kind of like, if this came at the cost of that, I would have been pissed. But let's get it. This is probably going to be a more comic accurate Batman. It's got the Bat family coming in. I know they already said Damian Wayne's going to be Robin in this. So, okay. And from what I read about The Flash, Andy Muschietti seemed like he handled Batman very well, Michael Keaton's Batman very well, and a lot of people were just like, it kind of seems like he likes Batman more than he likes The Flash. So maybe that's why he's getting this job, is because he did a really good job with Batman, and so it's like let's get this guy to just actually do Batman this time and not have to pretend to make a movie about some other character. But yeah, the It movies were good too. In James Gunn we trust, maybe, he's obviously building this universe out.
We have no reason to doubt yet, right?
Yeah, so. Right. It's theoretically a new era of DC, an overdue new era, and it's just like, all right, let's let James Gunn cook at this point. I think Guardians Volume 3 and the Suicide Squad, in recent years have shown us like James Gunn knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. If he can let some of that kind of filter out, so obviously, because he can't do everything himself. If he can get some of the other filmmakers to kind of share in his kind of vision and then kind of build out this universe together, and see eye to eye, I think there's a way to do this that's really good, really cool. So, at this point, I have to just say, good. He's not a director for me that I think, oh God, why would they get Michael Bay to make a Batman movie? It's not something like that. You know what I mean? So I think, okay,
he's a very talented director.
Yeah, he's got chops, right?
Yeah, and so, I don't think one movie is indicative. One movie is definitely not indicative of what someone's capable of. You know what I mean? And I can't even talk about if it's good or bad because I haven't seen it myself.
Exactly. I'm dancing around it. Maybe I would have enjoyed it. I really don't know. I'll give it a chance at some point. But let's just be honest. Like, for you, obviously, it got buried amongst June when you were busy with other shit. But
yeah, that's right.
But for me, I don't really have that excuse. I was just like, I can't be fucked. Which apparently a lot of people felt the same way, so I wasn't alone. But anyway, yes, he's got some good stuff under his belt. I mean, those It movies, I think, were pretty good.
They're pretty
good overall.
Yeah,
so
I liked them.
So yeah, we'll see what he's got with this iteration of Batman. I think James Gunn said the Batman casting is a long ways down the road. This one doesn't have a screenwriter. Like, there's no script for this movie or anything like that. So, maybe this is just one of those things. Let's lock this guy up so that he doesn't bounce off to do other projects, and then we want him, and there's conflicts down the road. Like, let's get the ball rolling on this, and this is how we do it. But yeah, we'll see what happens with it. I think it could be good. I think there's no reason it can't be good, I guess, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So that brings us to our final headline, which is more stuff in the DCU. James Gunn was busy at work because I don't know if you know this, but I don't know what the latest on this is, to be fair, but there's an impending, I think, Screen Actors Guild strike maybe coming down the pipeline.
Shit.
I know, right? It's ridiculous.
Just shut Hollywood down.
Basically. But yeah, I think to preempt any sort of snafu that would result from that happening, WB, DC, James Gunn went full steam ahead and have cast the roles of Clark Kent, aka Superman, and Lois Lane, aka Lois Lane, in the upcoming film Superman Legacy, which is like the lead film in the DCU for James Gunn's take on DC. So our Clark Kent and Lois Lane are David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. Now, I'm guessing that Corenswet is probably not a recognizable name for most, perhaps not for you as well.
I do not.
He was in Pearl. He was in Pearl most recently. I don't know if you ended up. I think you saw X. I don't know if you saw Pearl as well, but that's like the prequel movie.
I saw X. No, yeah, so I never saw Pearl.
Okay, so he was in that. He's been in a couple other things, TV projects, I think. But look, I can say this: he looks like fucking Superman. He does. He was like the most fan cast actor for Superman. Like, he's young. I think he's like 29, 30, something like that.
He's got a fucking chin.
He's got a chiseled jaw. He's got height. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". Like he's just one of those guys. Which, quite honestly, like Henry Cavill, looks like fucking Superman. You know what I mean? Like, just has the right build, the right every kind of on-screen kind of presence that you'd want out of a Superman. So I think he looks great for the role.
I do think
people seem to like him in the things that we've seen him in, but I don't know that I've ever seen him in anything myself. But he looks fucking real. So
I would say he needs to gain probably at least.
Oh, he's gonna go on the comic book movie Gains diet. That's for sure.
I need him
18 raw chickens a day
for days. Yes. I'm talking Henry Cavill walking after he saved the oil rig. Henry Cavill. That's what I need.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll book up to no problem. I'm sure he's probably already on it. He's probably working on it already. But Rachel Brosnahan, I think, is a much more high profile actor. She was the lead in the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the Amazon show, which just wrapped up. I think earlier this year. She won an Emmy for that in 2018. She won Golden Globes for her performance in that show. And she's had, I think, a pretty decent career other than that. I think mostly supporting roles. House of Cards had a pretty decent supporting role in that. But everything I've seen her in, to me, screams Lois Lane. Like there were trades that were reporting on basically so and so is going to be up for Superman. I think Nicholas Hoult was rumored to be one of the finalists for Superman. I'm like, this guy doesn't look like fucking Superman.
What?
I like Nicholas Hoult, but he doesn't look like fucking Superman. You know what I mean? That's going to be a hard thing to get over. And then for the other, some of the people that were rumored for Lois, I was just like, you know what, all of these could probably work. But Brosnahan was the one for me that really stuck out as I think she could be a really fucking good Lois Lane. So I think casting wise, 2 for 2 for James Gunn
sure.
on the Superman front. It's a tough thing. Superman's a cinematic character that I feel like hasn't really lived up to his potential in a while. Man of Steel was fine. Obviously, Henry Cavill was fucking jacked as shit in that. Andrew has sent me. Oh, it's a GIF. I thought it was just a picture, just a GIF of Henry Cavill, just a mountain of a man, right there. This guy's gonna eat 93 raw chickens a day if he wants to get there. But
dude is so fucking big.
Everything that I've seen James Gunn do recently has me convinced he can do Superman right. And this just kind of solidifies that, where it's just okay, these people look like their characters should look like. From what I know, they seem to be good fits for these characters. Okay, all right, James Gunn is cooking, and I'm feeling good about Superman Legacy. I'm really feeling good about it. Apparently, he's also looking to cast the roles of Lex Luthor, Jimmy Olsen, some classic Superman characters who As long as he doesn't get Jesse Eisenberg on board, as long as he doesn't kill Jimmy Olsen in the first 5 minutes of whatever movie he appears in, then we're in business. He will already understand these characters more than the last hack that took a crack at it. So,
Sure.
so yeah, I'm gonna say I'm all in on Superman Legacy. How are you feeling about it?
I feel pretty good so far. Yeah, I think, like I said, you cast in Superman. There is a
It's a big deal.
I don't want to sound shallow with my thoughts about like you say, you gotta pick somebody that looks like a.
You gotta look like fucking Superman. Like, that's your baseline. Is like, does this guy look like he could be Superman? Like, yeah, this guy needs to bulk up to be more what we would expect Superman to look like. But he's got the height and he's got kind of the right build and everything for it. So
he looks like Superman.
He looks like Superman. Goddamn handsome man is what he is.
Yeah, but picture him with his glasses. I need his glasses on. He's a Clark Kent.
Is he going to be able to slouch effectively? He's got to slouch as Clark Kent. Oh, I'm a nerd, me. You got to be able to do that too.
And I think she looks like an awesome Lois. I think that you'll be able to see her be pointed like as a reporter. She seems like she could have like a little bit of a tude. And I'm kind of excited.
Lois needs a little bit of tude. That's how Lois is.
I'm excited about it. I think it's brilliant. Very good.
Very good. Very good. I say very good as well. And I say very good for all of those headlines because we got to talk some trailers. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Superman Legacy, just to last little point there. Talk about some trailers. 5 trailers. Let's begin on the TV side of things. I think the only thing on the TV side of things, actually, Justified, City Primeval, official trailer. Raylan Givens is back. Timothy Oliphant is back as Raylan Givens in City Primeval, which is coming to FX later in July this month. July 18th is when it premieres. You did not watch Justified, the original series.
Seen any.
This doesn't really have any connections other than the obvious of Timothy Oliphant is back, but he's in a different setting and all the other characters are different. I assume you still watch this trailer just to get a sense of it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what do you think? I think this is something you could probably watch separately. Does it feel like something that would intrigue you in that, accepting?
I think that I would enjoy I think there's more than one season, I'm sure, of Justified.
There are 6, yes.
Yeah. I'm sure I would enjoy the series in and of itself, that I'd probably want to just take the dive. I do think that it looks approachable from a standalone. I mean, you don't know Timothy Oliphant's character. I don't know who it is or who he is. But he looks like a cop that's whose daughter's messing around with some deranged dude, and looks like he's got a problem with it, and it looks like a pretty I don't know, looks like a tried and true story. You know what I mean? You got a cop that kind of like walks the line of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, and then you got this guy dicking around with his daughter, maybe literally or figuratively, I don't know. And then you have what's within the boundaries of being a cop. What are you allowed to do? And I think he probably tiptoes that line.
Raylan's whole thing is kind of riding that line, pushing boundaries a little bit, maybe stretching what maybe he ought to do in certain scenarios, and it's fun. It's good fun. I got the impression that maybe I was thinking his daughter was underage in this, and that the guy was fucking around with him, like was targeting Raylan by
right,
just basically getting the jump on his daughter at some point. So I don't know. We'll see how that little wrinkle plays out. But look, more Justified is never a bad thing for me. It's one of my favorite series of all time. Would have said something along those lines, I think, whenever we did our top 5 shows of all time. I think maybe episode 200, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was one of our big ones that we did to kind of change things up, celebrate a big milestone. Fucking love Justified. Fucking love Timothy Oliphant in general, but I think he's also just fantastic as Raylan Givens. I'm super in for this. I think Anna and I want to. She hasn't watched Justified either, so it's one of those ones where I'd be happy to go back and watch through all of Justified, cool. With her. But I think for anyone that isn't familiar with Justified, it's certainly worth a watch, don't get me wrong, but I do get the impression this is kind of just a one-off mini-series, which is technically a sequel to the series, but, the biggest spoiler is that Raylan Givens lives at the end of the Justified series, and then that allows this to exist. Like, other than that, there's really no connections to too much from what I can gather. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it looks like a nice Justified continuation, but in a totally different setting, which inherently gives it such a different vibe. Because Justified, for the most part, is all Kentucky. So, it's a lot more rural, a lot more country kind of areas, and this is like fully urban, Detroit. Like, it's cool. It's got some good actors in it. Anjanae Ellis from Lovecraft is in this. I think she's playing the defense attorney. And then Boyd Holbrook, who was obviously in Indiana Jones, is like the villain in this. So yeah.
That was the question I had for you: is how did you is this something that you're excited about? Do you want this?
Very much, very much want this. I don't know that I'll watch it right away. Again, I think if we decide to do a Justified watch, we'll probably just watch it straight through, and then by the time we're done with that, this will be done, so we can just kind of blow right into it.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of show to me that I think people are going to be spoiling on Twitter every week, or Threads. They might be spoiling on Threads, every week. It's the Meta competitor that has now launched. We're not on Threads right now, just FYI. Yeah, no, I'm definitely very in for this. And look, if it was just me, if I wasn't married or whatever, I'd be watching this every week. But I think I'm okay with doing a Justified rewatch.
How long's it
building
been?
Into
it's got to
this.
be in a while, right?
It's been since the last season finished. I would have watched it when it aired, and that would have been years and years ago. I don't know if it's quite a decade for the last season. 2015 is when it ended. So, pretty close. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're closer than I expected. So yeah, it's been 8 years. It's been long enough that I'm due for a rewatch. And rolling right into City Primeval. So yeah. For anyone interested, July 18th, it'll premiere on FX. It'll also be streaming on Hulu. Yeah, check it out. It's probably going to be pretty fucking good. Moving on to our next trailer. WB is offering us a new take on The Color Purple. Coming to theaters Christmas Day, December 25th. It is based on... So this is originally a 1982 novel, which was later adapted into a movie and then later adapted into a musical. And then this movie, this new 2023 one, is based on the musical, from what I understand. Do you have any familiarity with The Color Purple?
I have heard about it. I know that this is a staple. I don't know if the literary work is a staple or if the movie's a staple. I've heard of the
probably
movie.
A bit of both, I think. Probably a bit of both.
So I don't know. I don't know anything. I've just heard of it. I will say.
What do you know based on this trailer then? This 2 minutes and 24 seconds that you watched.
I know that I fought back some tears, and I'm
okay. All right.
This is going to be I have a feeling that this movie is going to be a tour de force.
Okay.
I have a feeling. Either that or whatever company put together this trailer, the marketing team behind The Color Purple is on fucking point. Because I think the music's going to be outstanding. I think it's well cast. We never talked about The Little Mermaid. I did go see The Little Mermaid.
You can give us the fuller take on it and catching up if you want.
But there's one thing that I know about. There's only one. Haley. I always want to call her Halle Bailey, but I get her name all.
No, I think you got it right that time.
Halle Bailey.
Halle Bailey, yes.
She can sing. She can sing her fucking head off. She's an awesome vocalist. And I think there's a couple of people in this trailer that can really, really, really belt. So I'm really excited. Definitely. The movie looks like a very touching story. Very excited to see it.
It does. It looks, I think, just really well shot. I think, I am someone that doesn't really actually have a lot of familiarity with it. So this is kind of all new to me. Anna and I watched the trailer. She said the book is really good. I should read the book before the movie comes out. So we'll see if that happens. I am with reading things in a timely fashion. So, but it looks very, very good. Produced by Oprah, produced by Steven Spielberg. And a really great cast: Taraji P. Henson, Danielle Brooks, Coleman Domingo. Halle Bailey, and Fantasia in her major motion picture debut, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, no wonder she can sing.
Yeah. I know, it looks really good. Comes out Christmas. I'm kind of keen to fill the gap of knowledge that I have about this. This looks really good, and it looks like a really powerful and well done story. So I'm gonna be right there with you. I'm looking forward to it. So December 25th, The Color Purple. But before then, in just a mere 2 weeks, by God, we're getting Barbie. July 21st, we're getting Barbie the movie. We have a main trailer that came out a little while ago that we haven't had quite the right opportunity to talk about, and it's now or never, because I think we have to cover this movie. I
agree, absolutely.
And, before we get to the trailer, comes out the same day as Oppenheimer.
Oh,
Barbenheimer double feature.
Barbenheimer.
We got to do the Barbenheimer double feature. All right. I think we got to do it. So I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there. I'm planting the seeds. I don't know how the hell you're going to have to find the time to see Oppenheimer, all 3 hours of it, and the 2 weeks of the IMAX that it's playing. Barbie, you could probably get your wife to come with you if someone can babysit. Yes. But
so I was talking about seeing
baby be along, whatever.
Oppenheimer in Orlando, making a proper IMAX trip.
Well, there you go. That's the way to do it.
We can figure this shit out. But
Barbenheimer. Barbenheimer, and that's confirmed.
Name of the episode too.
Yes, Barbenheimer. Perfect stuff. But anyway, I am fucking looking forward to Barbie. I think this looks incredible.
I would agree. I will say the story, you get a lot more story in this particular trailer.
This is more than just kind of the the very basic, like, look, it's Barbie, but it's a movie, and it's kind of, quirky and weird. This is, very much giving you kind of more of the beats of kind of what this movie could be. Is that making you more or less excited, would you say? The actual story components.
It just raised more questions.
Okay,
right?
That's
like
fair.
the first trailer, it's almost like Lego Movie-ish.
For sure, definitely getting those vibes. Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other one, the initial trailers just look like, I don't know, just look like crazy Barbie musical. It's like, you know what I mean?
Right, like Barbie's off on its own. Just it's not intended to be part of the real world. It's just this fictional world of Barbie. Whereas this is that, but also the real world, which is obviously sort of not quite our real world, but it's some version of the real world where like Mattel exists, and so it's like,
self-aware.
What the fuck is happening here?
Right?
Yeah, Lego Movie is a good comparison, but yeah, it does. How does this work? How does this play out? I don't understand. I guess we'll find out in just a couple weeks. But yeah, it's
looks like a very
all over the map.
Man, there's something to be said just about having a creative idea for something and something original in the world of remaking and continuing IPs. And I guess Barbie is they've made
it's a huge IP, but we've never had anything. We've never really had a Barbie movie in general. And even if we have. Right? It's never been anything like this, big budget Hollywood thing. It's clearly not just like a what if Barbie but a movie. It's like, what if Barbie but a movie, and it's fucking completely ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like it's like a kind of, I don't even know what the right word is. It's not satirical, or it's not really like a parody, but it's kind of operating in a similar space of just like stretching this as far as you can take it, in terms of just the ridiculousness of the concept. But it looks very, very compelling and
very excited.
I don't know. I'm excited for it. Margot Robbie looks great. Ryan Gosling looks awesome. I think, visually, obviously, some of it looks kind of goofy in an intentional sort of way. But I think just it's very colorful, and I don't know. To me, it's hitting all the right notes. And I think it could not be more fucking different than what Oppenheimer is going to be. You know what I mean? Like such a different sort of thing. But I think that will make for an amazing double feature of just how fucking on different sides of the aisle these movies could be, but maybe hopefully both simultaneously very good, very enjoyable, whatever. I mean,
yeah,
I think my hot take is Barbie's going to be more enjoyable to watch than Oppenheimer. But I don't think that's really saying anything about the quality of either of those movies, to be fair. So
both look outstanding. It's going to be a good weekend for the movies.
It's a good weekend for the movies. Tom Cruise will celebrate, except for having those goddamn IMAX screens. He wants them. He wants them back. Yes, 100% looking forward to Barbie. We're going to cover it. I think we have to cover it because it's how could
special.
You know? After those teasers, the fucking 2001 shit. I mean, come on. Even from the get-go, the marketing team was doing amazing work with this movie. So we gotta see the finished product. We gotta see it through to the end. Now, something that we may not have to see through to the end unless we're really, really desperate is Kraven the Hunter.
Jesus Christ.
The next of Sony bastardizing Marvel villains, Spider-Man villains particularly, is here. We got an official Red Band trailer for it. It's coming in October. Aaron Taylor Johnson is Kraven the Hunter. This is indeed the one trailer that was definitely the bad one in the bunch. But it's certainly something that we have to talk about because what in God's name is this? What do you think? You answer that question. What is this? What is this movie? What is happening here?
It's I don't think it's terrible casting. But I at the same time, I feel like he's not in it. I feel like he's just says his lines, you know? And then
so what I said to Anna when we were watching this was, does it feel like he's fighting his natural accent? To me, because he's British.
Yes.
It feels like he's spending so much time trying to craft his American accent that he's forgetting to act with it. So he's just so flat in his delivery with all of these things. And it's like, it's because he's not American and he doesn't sound like he's American. And I think some actors can kind of, walk the line of just actually being an actor and work through that. Like, I think Cumberbatch is good and Gary Oldman's a good, example. Like, they can just kind of be all over the fucking place. Whatever accent, this is like Sam Worthington to draw on more Avatar talk.
Yeah, right, exactly.
This is a Sam Worthington-ass performance if I've ever seen one, where it's just like, and to me, it's like, why is he American? His dad's fucking Russian. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Like Russell Crowe signed on to this movie because they let him do another accent. That's what Russell Crowe does these days. I don't know if you've noticed this. Thor,
the Pope.
The Pope
Thor,
movie?
The Pope.
All it is like, do I get to do a stupid accent? If yes, where do I sign? You don't even have to pay me. I'm only doing this for the pure joy and benefit of doing some fucking dumb accent in this movie. And for some reason Aaron Taylor Johnson's American? Like, what? I don't even know, man. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor.
No,
I just think he's a bad actor when he's trying to be an American badass, I guess. I don't know what to say, because he's super fun and charismatic in Bullet Train, as a recent example.
Totally
and
awesome in Bullet Train.
Even his other Marvel role, where he was a one-off deal as Pietro, as Quicksilver, way more fun.
That's right.
It was way more fun in that. And it didn't seem like he was struggling to do a fake Eastern European accent, so I don't know, man. Like, I don't know.
I'm glad you picked up on that, though. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
That's but one thing that is bad about this,
well,
but
you can
it is
see
one
through
thing
animals. Indeed. He's Beastmaster, I think is what that show was called in like the 90s, where you can see through the birds and shit.
Yeah, he's got apex predator blood from the lion for some reason that's turned
this
him,
lion
given him superpowers.
That is fucking enormous. Did you see this lion? The CG on the lion?
It's a big lion, man. Or he's a very small child. One or the other.
The lion is fucking enormous. He looks like the guy with the tattoos, but in lion form. Like if he could transform into a lion, Shao Kahn the lion. He's fucking stupid. He's huge. Anyways, Russell Crowe is shit. I don't know. This movie looks real bad. This is one I'll lump it in with Venom and Venom Morbius. And Carnage and Morbius. What the fuck's wrong with them?
This
is what what pisses me off.
I can't decide if this looks worse than what Morbius did. Like, I don't know. I think they're all probably just equally bad, but man, this looks real bad.
And no offense to the people that do this, okay? No offense. And if you get angry at us, I invite you to the show so we can talk about it, have some discourse, okay? But I know full well that there's a man cave out there, multiple man caves, that have all of these movie posters on their wall. Venom, Venom 2, and then Carnage, and then Morbius, and now Kraven, and somebody's like, oh man, I can't believe they're making this. This is great. And from me to you, sir, you are the problem. You're the
fuck you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stop seeing these movies. Stop giving them money.
This is real bad, and it's a shame because Kraven is a badass character. Like, if you want any Kraven, just watch the 90s animated Spider-Man. Or play the new video game. He's on a new video game now.
Yeah, Kraven could be, like, a really cool villain for, like, say, I don't know, a Spider-Man movie? What a concept, huh? What a concept. No, let's make a movie where he's not a villain, but, you know, he's like an anti-hero, I guess.
It's the same treatment they give to all the villains.
Right. Yeah, it's like, well, they're not that bad because they do good things sometimes. And they're only bad when they go up against Spider-Man. The tagline in this movie is villains aren't made, they're born, or villains aren't born, they're made, or something. Yeah, I think that's right. I think you got it there. Yeah, but he doesn't look like a villain. Like, yeah, he's killing people, but like doesn't really seem to be doing it in a villainous capacity of just like, people are trying to kill me, I guess I'll kill them first, kind of deal. And I just why? I don't think these movies, I guess Venom did really well, but Morbius certainly did not make enough money, and maybe this one was too far along. But and then apparently the Bad Bunny one is maybe not moving forward. And it's like, oh gee, making a movie, starring Bad Bunny about fucking El Muerto was a bad idea. Oh man, who could have seen this coming? I don't know. This looks like dog shit. I
want to know
top
who
to bottom.
Wrote, the people. There's 3 people that wrote this movie, right?
Art Markham, Matt Holloway, and Richard Wenk.
And they reference
Wank more like.
Oh, there's source material? Fuck that. I'm going to throw that out. We don't need to read that.
Kraven? No, he's not going to look like Kraven. No. He's going to have lion blood giving him powers for some reason. Yep, we're good. We got everything covered here. We're just going to toss these comic books into the incinerator and call it a day.
Fuck them.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This is just brutal to watch because it's just, and I think Morbius was almost less offensive because it's it's fucking Morbius. Who cares? Kraven could be a really cool Spider-Man villain, right, if done properly and done in the context of a Spider-Man movie. This is this is missing the mark in every which way that you can imagine. There's nothing good about this.
And I feel like you could even make him. You could definitely make him a sympathetic character.
Yeah, and this one's got the Rhino in it, and it's not even Paul Giamatti. They fucked that part, too, oh, man.
I guess there's a little bit of animal in all of us.
Oh, yeah. My I'm turning into the Rhino now. I'm turning into the Rhino! As long as there's some dialogue along those lines, I think we're good here.
Jesus Christ.
Dog shit. Just absolute dreck. October 6th. Sony will be insulting us with the release of Kraven the Hunter. They will be sending up both middle fingers and saying, "We fucking dare you, you fucking losers.
How do they make
come watch our fucking
Into the
piece
Spider-Verse
of shit."
or Across the Spider-Verse, and then they make this?
They have different factions in their company is the only way that I can explain it. Animation is a completely different team, completely different leadership. They're everything else is
put Lord and Miller in charge of the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, pretty much. Give them the James Gunn treatment. Let them take over the Sony side of things, or just be more collaborative with Marvel. You want to make a Kraven movie? Let Marvel help you. Let Marvel be all right, it's kind of a weird thing to make a movie about. We didn't really think we wanted to make a Morbius movie either, but maybe there's a way to do this that's adjacent enough to Spider-Man that at least kind of makes sense for these characters to exist in this solo incarnation.
Here's this. Listen to this.
If they actually wanted to build to a Sinister Six kind of thing, that could be kind of interesting to do a bunch of villain origin movies, but actually let them be villains, not just shove a tagline on the poster that says they're totally villainous. We promise. They're totally villains. It's all bad. It's all bad. And it's too far down. It's too far gone at this point. You have to burn it all down for any of this to to be undone. But they just keep digging the ditch even more. They're digging their own grave, and they're not even 6 feet under. They're 12 feet under at this point. They just can't stop. I don't even know, man. It's rough. It's real rough. Anyway, lest we dwell on it even further, let us conclude with our final trailer of the episode. Killers of the Flower Moon. We have an official trailer for it's the next film from Martin Scorsese. It's got a killer cast. A killer cast. Yeah, he's getting up there, isn't he? He's got a you're not wrong. Let's fact check that. How old is Martin Scorsese? What's your guess? Take a guess.
He's got to be 85.
85. That's probably, I'm going to say early 80s. 80 exactly. 80 on the dot. He'll turn 81 in November. So
pretty old.
He's getting up there. But killer cast here of Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, John Lithgow, Brendan Fraser. Great cast. Based on a book. It's an Apple original movie, but I think it is getting a full theatrical release in October, and then probably will come to streaming sometime down the line after that. But what'd you think? I'll start there. What'd you think? Killers of the Flower Moon.
Really well shot.
Definitely expected for a Scorsese, but nonetheless,
that's true.
Very true.
Star-studded cast, which I guess also comes along with Scorsese. I guess
that's right.
It looks like a pretty compelling story. Just from what I gather, from the trailer. I don't know anything about it, but it looks really good.
I think they premiered it at Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival.
Okay.
And I got some really good reviews from that, which like Disney debuted ND at the Cannes Film Festival, and it didn't really get a great response. This one was like, we love this shit. So I think the early buzz on this is very, 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 very promising. And I think they actually had a lot of involvement with the Osage Nation in terms of bringing this movie to life, depicting their culture, and everything. Awesome. Yeah, so I think that it's a very authentic and collaborative experience of making the movie, and obviously a lot of native actors,
and that makes
as well,
it
so
all that much better.
100%. Like that's. If you're going to make a movie using this setting, telling these events, and this is based off of like real life shit, you know what I mean? It's
make it accurately.
Yeah, do it right.
Also,
I think it looks really good.
Jesse Plemons, he's kind of the man.
He's great.
He's like low key the man. You know what I mean? He shows up.
Yeah, he's not in your face about it. He's when he shows up, you're like, this guy's great.
Fucking Jesse Plemons.
It's fucking Todd.
Here.
It's fucking Todd, man. He's here.
That's what he's doing.
But he's so far beyond Todd at this point. It's great.
Yeah. He's always he's kind of like low key, kind of shitty, every time he shows up and just kind of like smiles around at people. Yeah. It's like he's the best. I love him.
I think Game Night's still one of his best roles, where he's like the weird neighbor. I don't know if you saw that one.
I don't think I ever saw Game Night. Is that the one with Cena in it?
No, it's Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. I don't think John Cena's in it. I could be wrong, but
I see it.
It's good. It's a surprisingly very good film. Definitely worth a watch. I haven't seen Jungle Cruise, but I feel like I've seen a GIF of Jesse Plemons, or at least the bits in the trailer where he was in it, and he seemed like he was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
pops out of the sub or whatever. Yeah, incredible stuff. Yeah, I agree. He's great, and he's a part of this movie, which is just another good thing, right? Embarrassment of riches. Let's see what the exact theatrical release date is on this, and then that will be it for the news. Let's see, October 2023. Well, I already knew that it was October 2023. October 6th. Oh my God.
So I can choose between...
Is this going alongside Kraven?
I can choose between this and Kraven?
No.
What would we do?
I was just secretly hoping that Kraven would occupy a weekend to itself, so we'd have no excuse other than, do we have to? But right? This makes things very easy for us. We can just make fun of Kraven bombing as we talk about Killers of the Flower Moon. How's that for a plan?
That sounds perfect.
All right, excellent stuff. All right, do you have anything else? I know we've been here a little while talking headlines, news, and stuff, but like I said, we're playing catch up. It's just the two of us. It's a good time to do these sorts of things before we get to the main meat and bones of the episode. But yeah,
this is going to be kind of news.
Okay. Oh, you're bringing news to the table? Okay.
But not really. I mean, yeah, I guess it is kind of news. I went to the HBO Max app earlier today. Today's Sunday.
Excuse me. I think you mean Max, good sir.
That's right, Max. And I almost watched, today's Sunday, and I almost watched an Elseworld show that is new on Max. And it's Batman and H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's shit. What the fuck's it called?
You said it was a show, or is it like a movie?
No,
like
it's a movie. It's a one-off movie.
Oh, okay.
Batman. It's not Batman Dark. HP.
The Doom that came to Gotham.
That's it. Yep.
I have no idea what this is.
And that's what I was bringing it up because I hadn't seen a trailer for it or anything, and I said, "Ooh, I watched. They had a Constantine movie come out.
Yeah, I feel like DC pumps out like animated movies like twice a year or something like that, and by all accounts, they all seem to be pretty good. But they basically don't seem to get any sort of marketing push. You know, and like obviously they're not being released in theaters or anything like that. But I swear I never see anything for them. You know, before they just get dumped on the service.
I just looked up the trailer for this, the Doom that came to Gotham, and the animation looks like, looks pretty good. I like the animation style. It looks almost like...
I mean, Batman plus Lovecraft is a pretty intriguing,
it's like the
combination, so...
Perfect shit, yeah.
And then looks like the Doom that came to Gotham was a 3-issue comic miniseries in 2001. So I'm sure it's just kind of an adaptation of that story, which is pretty cool. Yeah, looks like it came out March of this year. I had literally no idea. Literally no idea what this was. So,
well, it just popped up on my HBO Max thing. So, or not HBO Max anymore, just Max.
Just Max.
Yep. And so I almost watched it today. I didn't. I've been watching something else.
Well, you know.
But
if you do catch it at some point, you know, put it on the list. We'll talk about it in the catching up sometime down the road. You know, sounds pretty neat. It sounds like it'd be up your alley. Probably up mine too, but definitely up yours. So give it a go.
Report back in. Yeah. Other than
maybe Baby B would like it too, or it might be a little too spooky for him. I don't know yet. I don't know. You'll have to assess that for yourself.
We've been watching that.
Oh, very good.
During feeds.
All right, well, I want to hear all about that a little bit later, but right now we must talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Are you dialed in for this conversation right now? Are you ready?
I am dialed in all the way.
All right, let's do it. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is playing in theaters only right now. It is written by 4 people, but 2 chaps who I think we've spoken about before with the most British-ass fucking names in the world. Jez Butterworth and John Henry Butterworth. Can't remember what they did. They did something. I got to look it up now.
We've talked about them before. I do remember their
because
names
we've definitely talked about their names before. Let's see. Ford v Ferrari seems like a contender.
Okay,
covered that. They co-wrote that. They also co-wrote Spectre. And Edge of Tomorrow, so multiple opportunities that we may have talking about these guys, but they wrote it alongside David Koepp and James Mangold. The film was also directed by James Mangold, who is notably not Steven Spielberg. A first for the Indiana Jones film franchise, not directed by Steven Spielberg, and no story credit for George Lucas. I don't think old Georgie had really any involvement in this one either.
Ooh.
It's a changing of the tide, changing of the guard. Maybe that's the way to put it. But yeah, it does indeed star Harrison Ford, however, and a younger Harrison Ford, as we talked about with the de-aging technology and stuff. Oh yes, we will go back to that before long. But alongside Harrison are Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Mads Mikkelsen, Antonio Banderas, John Rhys-Davies, Toby Jones, and Boyd Holbrook. In this film, archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. Yep, sounds like an Indiana Jones movie is what I would say from that description. But how about a box office breakdown to kick our indie coverage off? Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, ba. It's like a somewhere between the horn and the
indie theme,
the franchise. The indie theme, exactly. Box office breakdown. That's some sort of, maybe that's Kali. That's the blood of Kali or something that's entered into my into my veins.
Kalima.
Exactly. So let's talk box office. I think I poked fun at the Flash a little bit earlier in the episode. And look, the Flash is a big old bomb. It's a big old bomb. That's obviously not why we're here talking about things. We're not talking about the Flash necessarily. But unfortunately, Flash is not the only big bomb that we have on our hands this year. Indiana Jones, I think, has to be considered a very large disappointment for Disney and Lucasfilm overall. And I don't know that it's doing... Look, I think in a vacuum it's not doing all that poorly. It's just they spent so much goddamn money on this thing that it almost was like primed to lose money for them. Like all the profits they made from Avatar... they can throw them right down the toilet because of this movie. It's kind of, I don't know if it's quite that, severe, but it's pretty fucking close. Let's see, its opening weekend, it brought in $60 million, which was good for number one, and it's really not a terrible debut. It dropped 54% in its second weekend to about $27 million. It dropped to number two in the weekend standings as well, behind the latest Insidious movie, which is, kind of, that probably tells you a little bit right there that, an Insidious movie was enough to beat Indy's second weekend.
It's a sad day.
Internationally, it's pulled in $127 million. So it's about $250 million worldwide is where it stands, little less than 2 weeks into its total run. And again, I don't think that's terrible. The problem is they spent, and the reports vary, at least $300 million on this movie, not including marketing, which obviously was usually a sizable spend. So some reports have it at 350, 400, which would put it in like the most expensive movie of all time territory. And I think COVID delays and production woes, are why the budget ballooned quite a bit. I think it wasn't intended to be that much from the beginning, but, they were
or maybe
in too deep. I don't know.
3 years on a de-aging sequence.
It could be that. It could be, having 100 plus people working on de-aging. I'm sure that's part of it. I'm sure it's part of it, if nothing else. But it's a lot of fucking money to put into something. And Indiana Jones is a very recognizable franchise. But I don't.
It's a practical effect franchise.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes this. Well,
I don't know.
Case,
it was for 3, and then Crystal Skull was a little. I don't know, a little too CG heavy. I think overall they had the newfangled fancy technology and played a little fast and loose with it. Maybe it's the same here. I don't know. We'll get into that obviously, but yeah, I don't know. Look, I think there's a variety of factors that you can point to. Is this? I mean, it's like Indiana Jones. It's a recognizable franchise, but at the same time, and this is good for you, it's a dad franchise. It's a movie for dads. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And
totally.
and I think that, it's got an older audience that's kind of built in, that's primed to like it. And I don't know that, whatever they did end up spending on marketing probably did enough to connect with younger audiences. It never really, obviously it's a movie with an 80-year-old protagonist. It's a legacy film, the 5th in the franchise. It's like, what are you doing to connect, with a younger audience and bring them in? The people that didn't grow up with Indy, what are you doing to bring them in? I'm not sure that it did really much of anything. It's kind of my impression. So it's an expensive ass film.
They're giving away pizza, or they're giving away tickets if you buy a pizza. That's what it is.
Yeah.
No, if you go to Wendy's, I can't remember. Is it Wendy's or Papa John's? I think it's Papa John's.
They have a promotion for Indy.
Yeah, we'll buy your Indiana Jones ticket if you buy a
They had something similar for The Flash. So it's like if your movie bombs, then like just partner with a restaurant to give away free tickets or something like that. Yeah, hope that maybe it inflates the numbers enough, even if you're not really making that money back. We've seen a couple. The Flash obviously was a big one, big old box office bomb with really bad legs. I think the difference with The Flash was it had a decent to good start, maybe lower than what people might have expected, and then it just has collapsed monumentally in the weeks since its release. Indy did hold better in its second weekend, and it may very well have decent legs overall, but it's not going to be enough. they just spent so much money on this, and it's not playing well enough overseas. I think it bombed in China. It's just not doing enough to basically justify how much money they ultimately put into it. Whether that was intended or not, it was a mistake at the end of the day. So, we'll get into the quality of the film, obviously, very shortly, momentarily, but it's a shame. It's a generally speaking a fun, good franchise that I think means a lot to both of us. Enough to the point, as we said earlier, we did a bonus episode on it 5 years ago. We talked about all the 4 Indiana Jones movies, and I think you had mentioned as much last time when we recorded on Spider-Verse, but you had been rewatching the indie movies. Like they're classics.
Yeah,
absolutely. You revisited most, maybe not all of the franchise before watching this one. I think maybe you took a detour around the Crystal Skull and went straight from movie? 3 to 5. Oh, yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're a big fan of Indy, right? I think I'm a big fan of Indy.
I am.
Think we said
That's
as much when we did that bonus episode. And so the question was this going to be the tick to the talk or whatever it is for the Indy franchise, right?
Right.
It oscillates very greatly from entry to entry, of good to bad to good to bad. Does this continue the trend? Does it buck the trend? I think that was a question mark coming in. And I think, I don't know about you, but I feel like we had hopes and expectations and some optimism around this movie, maybe, certainly compared to Crystal Skull. So anyway, well, I want to know what your opinion is of Indiana Jones. Obviously, we've been here long enough without really diving into it, but Anna really wants to come in and tell you about our experience watching it. So we'll get into the actual movie itself in just a second, because let me just tell you right now, we had a wild-ass theater experience. I hope yours was better. I hope yours was better. Let's put it that way.
So wild in a bad way is what you're telling me. I guess any theater experience that's called wild is generally probably pretty bad.
Yeah, and we went on a weekday. You know what I mean? It's like it's a day you'd think would be
on
pretty
a movie
reasonable.
That's been out for how long? Has it been out for now?
Yeah, it'd been out for a week and a half. Like you think, all right, it's going to be a reasonable, rational theater environment, normal people in the audience. Oh no. So anyway, Anna's here now, and I'm just going to pass the mic over to her because she's gonna tell everyone listening what our experience was like.
Hello. Yeah, so hello. This is my brief intrusion. So a while back, I had said I was not going to go to movies on the weekends anymore, because I find that the audiences are just so annoying. I think that there's like a lot, even more teenagers than normal at the mall, and I just think people are. I don't remember what the last one was. It was like the final straw, but I can't handle it anymore because people are so annoying, and post-COVID, people have apparently forgotten how to act in public. And so I only go on weekdays now. So we went on a Monday night at 7:15, although really the movie starts at 7:45. So we come in, and important context is that I injured my ankle really badly last week. And so I'm limping. Like my ankle's not doing well. I've got an air cast. Like I'm limping. It's taking me time to get where I'm going and get up the stairs. So we go up and we sit down in great seats, third row or whatever, dead center. It's great. So I sit on the right side of Colton, and to my right, there's a guy there. And throughout the previews, he is through the trailers, he's making comments and he's talking a lot, and I don't really care because I'm like,
he's by himself? No,
he was with a friend. There was one other guy on his other side. So he's two guys, maybe like around 30, maybe. So I'm thinking, all right, this could be an issue, but like it's fine. I don't care. During trailers, like I make comments too. It doesn't bother me. Let's see what happens when we start. And I know you guys haven't gotten into it, but like, this is not spoilers, like there's de-aging used. And the very first time that Indy's young face appears on the screen, the guy next to me says at full volume, "How'd they make him look so young?" How'd they do that? How did they do that? Which, like, fine thought to have. Why are you having it out loud? Why are you having it at full volume?
Where'd this guy come from?
What are you doing? And I was like, oh no. So I'm someone who I am not afraid to tell people to shut up. I have particularly when they're not in direct line of sight. I have said in theaters when people are being loud, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm not afraid. And I never start with that. I'll say that. I never start with that. I will let people know politely. Right. Can you please stop talking? Right. You know, whatever. Like, because sometimes people truly just don't understand that their voice is carrying.
Right.
So I was polite. I did like a please. And then I think I did at one point like a come on. Like,
it's escalating.
And then it's escalating. And I also said, and then I think the last thing I like really said full volume. And he was right next to me. So I couldn't get too, you know, you never know. Someone's going to go off the handle. So I said, can you please stop talking? And I said it nice and loud. I'm sure the whole theater heard me. And he did stop for like a few minutes.
Yeah, we got a nice quiet, like 2.5 to 3 minutes, roughly.
Yeah, maybe.
So it was constant. This thing's going on.
Oh yeah,
constant.
No, it really is. It's not just like reactions to the big moments or like questions or explain. It is every time somebody says a line, he says something.
Oh, no.
Just just constant. Like I would be annoyed with that in my own living room. So also in the meantime, this man. He and his friend had brought in their own food, which again doesn't bother me. That's fine. When we first came in, he was eating a sandwich. He had like a just like a little sandwich in a sandwich baggie, whatever. But they also have drinks, and they're in these like plastic cups that kind of look like Tervises, like they're clear. And there is so much ice, and it's like that little ice. Every time this guy picks up the cup, he swishes around the ice. He slurps up half the drink and then like slams it back in the cup holder. And he also, must have been like, I don't even know, 10 or 15 minutes in, got up to go refill it. Also, like very early on, got up to go, and I was like, and he was clearly stealing from, taking the theaters, but which like, again, I don't really care about steal, but you're being really loud and obnoxious about it.
Right.
So the talking is annoying. I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know if I can stand this. I'm going to have to leave.
Starting to fume a little bit.
I'm going to have to move because he's right next to me. I'm a little nervous that, I don't want to make myself a target, whatever.
Yeah.
And then something happens that makes me know, oh no, I am not fucking with this guy. I am moving. This man pulls out a fucking corn on the cob. And starts eating corn on the cob in a movie theater.
He was eating corn on a cob in the movie theater?
Corn on the cob. Just, all along it. He cleared that fucking corn cob. Stank. It smelled so bad. Colton did not realize what was happening at first.
This is half-rotting corn on the cob from the 4th of July, it would
That's
seem.
our theory. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's stinky. It's loud. It is fully unhinged.
That is nuts.
Does that? And then Colton told me later, I had not noticed this. In the same Tupperware container that had the corn on a cob, this man also had straight up peas.
They brought dinner. They brought a home-cooked dinner.
Wow. To the movie theater. Nasty food. And I thought, I'm not going to get mad at this guy because he'll murder me and wear my skin. Like, I'm not. And so when the talking picked back up, I said, yep, that's it. And I got up and we moved up to 2 rows behind.
2 rows back, yeah.
And we're free of it. Although I will say that...
Did you see him in the light of the...
yes. Well, so we had one more moment where we could hear him, which was towards the end. And I don't think it's really a spoiler. But he just... there's a point where Marion comes on the screen. And... He says, again, full fucking volume in the movie theater, that's his wife. Yeah, we all fucking know. Because even if you hadn't, watched the other 4 fucking movies, we've seen her picture a bajillion times throughout the movie. Like, what? Yeah, it is. What? Why are you announcing it? What's wrong with you? Have you never been in public before? Have you never watched a movie?
Man. Maybe he's Amish.
No, he was not Amish.
No, he had a Tervis cup, you said.
Yeah, no, we also saw him. He was, these motherfuckers were Mario and Luigi because this man was dressed entirely in green. He had a green t-shirt, green baseball cap, and like green camo
and
shorts.
Overalls?
No overalls, but all green. And the guy who was with him, who also was talking throughout the movie, and I assume also had corn on the cob, but I don't really know. He was dressed all in red hat, red pants, and a red shirt.
Wow. What characters? Man,
fucking weirdos.
Philadelphia's
fucking
wild
weirdos.
City.
I don't care if you're like a weird person, but you are interfering with my ability to enjoy going to the movies.
Don't bring
you
a
are stealing
corn
my
cob.
Joy. Yeah, a fucking corn on the cob, a
Tupperware full of peas,
and loud snack. Like unhinged behavior. Yeah, no, serial killer shit. Right there. Fucking corn on the cob. And yeah.
You just never know anymore. Yeah, it's a good thing you guys just moved a couple rows back.
Like, I don't know. I unhinged shit.
That's crazy.
We missed a little bit there. We had to move.
I've never seen or heard anything about that. That's nuts.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with people, but I miss
It's about the equivalent of that lady bringing her dog in the movie theater, her chihuahua.
I didn't hear about that.
You didn't hear about that?
No, where was that?
I can't even remember what movie that was for. I don't know if Colton will remember.
I've seen like different theaters will do like the dog friendly showings for like the Secret Life of Pets or whatever, and you can bring your dog in, but that's like a specific event. This was she just like brought in a dog.
She brought in her friends and her dog, and they were sitting there talking about how it's a puppy, and they were so excited to have it. And yeah, I'm the opposite of you, right? Like I won't say anything. But I told myself, I swear to God, if that fucking dog makes a noise in the goddamn movie theater.
Wait, this literally happened to you?
Yes.
My God.
If the dog makes a goddamn noise in the movie theater, I will stand up and show my ass. I will do it.
Yeah. But also, like, what are the movie theater managers doing? That's what they're for. How do you not catch that she's coming in with a dog?
That's I was pissed. The dog didn't make any noise though, so I didn't have to say
Good
anything.
Puppy.
I was quite.
But you were probably a little bit more on edge because you were waiting for it. Like there's an inherent anxiety when people do shit like this. Like for me, like I'll say something, but I still have to like gear myself up to do it, and my heart races, and I freak.
Yeah.
I hate people.
It's too much. I don't need that anxiety. I go to the movie theaters to escape it.
Exactly. Right. Yep. That I feel exactly the same way. And if you can't go, like this is a 2.5 hour movie. Like we didn't even get any snacks or drinks or anything. Like if you can't wait 2.5 hours
eat your
fucking corn cob, right? Stay the fuck home. There's plenty of shit on streaming that you've never seen before. Clearly, you could do it for a rewatch of the other movies since you know. What was
it's his wife.
Oh, when Toby Jones comes on. Oh, he always plays the villain in everything. I bet he's the villain here. Fucking moron. The worst.
Yeah.
The worst.
Well, I understand.
Anyway, that's my brief listener's corner. What's your mid... You guys probably haven't even gotten here. I give it a fine. It was fine. It was very middle of the pack of all the movies. Fine. So I'll let you guys do your thing. And
fabulous. Nice talking to you.
You too. I hope everyone's next movie theater going experience does not include corn on the cob.
That's amazing.
That's vicious.
I never thought the dog would be beaten. Like, I thought I had it beat. But corn on the cob, something special.
Easily the most unhinged shit I have ever witnessed.
A Tupperware full of peas. What the fuck?
Tupperware full of peas. And corn on the cob. Mm-hmm. Have fun!
So anyway, I'm back, and I think Anna did that story justice, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
Just
I can see it.
Just unhinged, just absolutely batshit behavior. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Yep, that's right. Do not pass go, do not collect $200 is how I feel about that sort of behavior.
Absolutely.
But I forgot about your dog experience. That's man.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Anna says, going to the movie theater in the middle of the week is not a bad thing.
Feels like it should be a safe space, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, next one we're seeing is probably Mission Impossible. So hopefully we have Tom Cruise in the room with us, because you know he'll fucking ream people out for not taking the movie seriously.
This is not a fucking joke. Do you think? I'm just on a side note. Do you think that we are becoming? Do you think that potentially we are becoming ornery, older people? And perhaps the world has always existed in this way, and we're just kind of getting fed up with it.
I think there's aspects of that, but I really think that 2020 to 2022-ish, just people just truly forgot how to behave in public, and haven't relearned or been retaught, if necessary.
And the only way to get relearned is if somebody says something to you,
Yeah, but and then you deal with people where you're like, if you say something to this, that might be it for you. Your life might be over in a flash. So
might be
so people just exactly. People are just like, you know what, I'm just gonna sidestep this entirely. I will move 2 rows up and I'll watch the rest of the movie in peace, and that's what we did. So anyway, we got to see most of Indiana Jones. I wouldn't say most, probably more than half of Indiana Jones in a more peaceful, calm row, at least, mostly away from the distractions and such. So it did unfortunately impact my viewing experience, as would be expected of such an environment. But I know enough about the Dial of Destiny to talk about it. So let's go back into it. And I guess let's really just start up with it, is really where we're at with this. What did you think about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Indiana Jones number 5.
All right, Indiana Jones number 5. So I guess the first thing is the de-aging, right? We've talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah, we've danced around our actual opinions on the subject. Technology is great. It's cool. It's interesting that they're able to do it. Lots of people have worked on it, maybe spent some money on it. But how did it work? How did it play for you?
They spent all the money and they spent all the time on the sequence, this 25-minute sequence. Yeah.
Fully almost a half-hour sequence that,
right,
we'll say kicks off the film. I might have said as much. In the beginning of the episode, I don't remember, but it's the beginning. It's how it opens.
My initial reaction is, oh boy, oh
strap
boy.
in.
And that oh boy is at first, the first exposure to it. Okay, this is going to be. They're going to introduce the villain real quick, and it's going to be a thing, right? It's going to be over. And I'll forget about it in 2.5 hours. And then it kept going and going. And some of it looked, in my opinion, very bad. The initial, it was interesting because the picture that we were talking about earlier is a still from that initial sequence.
Yes. Yeah.
And the still looks fabulous. Doesn't look bad at all.
Yeah, I think it's how does it work in motion?
How does it animate? Right?
Yeah, right. Can you make an 80-year-old man look like a young, say 30-ish year old, 40-ish year old man?
And it's like they viewed their work in stills and they were very proud of it. And it's like they showed other people in stills and oh man, that looks fabulous. Keep it going. And nobody paid attention to the sequences in between, like when he spoke. And the way his mouth moved and everything, it's very uncanny valley.
Yes.
After I would say probably after about 10 minutes, and when things get really going and there's less of a focus on look at what we made, and it's more of let's proceed with the storytelling. Once the storytelling proceeds and it's not focused on his face, and this may be a bit of Battle Angel, you know what I mean? If you just dive in the world and you're kind of just
staring at
it for 15 minutes, it's okay. But I really feel the de-aging doesn't like the lighting has to support de-aging, right? Like I don't need a full-fledged like spotlight on Indy's face, de-aged 30 years or whatever, and de-aged to 30 years old. So I guess he's de-aged at this point 40 years, 40, 50 years old.
So it's the sequence is in 1944. The rest of the movie is 69. So it's roughly 25 years that they're taking off. But I feel like, I don't know. It looks like they tried to make Harrison look like, original Indy, the
and
first
it still
three era.
looks great. It's just the way he's animated. It's very off-putting. Yeah, and it was a very, very, very long sequence. Very long. It was interesting too. Like
it's long.
Like
yeah.
I don't know if maybe we can talk about it in spoilers, but I feel like there was another character present, and I felt like
who was also de-aged and looked fine.
Yeah, he totally looked fine. So, and you really know what that is, right? That's going to be the lighting and everything. It wasn't spotlighting this particular de-aging on a particular person. You know what I'm saying? Like they wanted to showboat this thing that they did.
Yes.
And whereas the other character that was de-aged and had plenty of spot time, like it's not like they tried to shy away from this other character. But he totally looked serviceable. He totally looked fine. There was no uncanny valley there. I was going to ask you if he was de-aged, actually.
He was. Apparently it was with different, like they used a different technology for him.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that technology is infinitely better than whatever the fuck you used.
Yeah, right. And I think the real answer is they did less drastic de-aging. I think it's just kind of smoothing out. He's got, his hair is all black versus, with streaks of white and gray later. So I think it's more subtle in the way that they went about doing it. But I agree, it's a million times better. And it's not distracting. I think that's the biggest thing is
right.
Your indie de-aging. It's distracting. It does kind of pull you out a little bit. And part of it's your brain obviously gap filling and thinking, well, Harrison Ford's an 80-year-old man, with gray hair. There's no way he could look like this. Or if you're, that guy that Anna was sitting next to be fair, you're shouting at the screen in disbelief. But that's what your brain is doing internally, and it's just like something's wrong here. Something's wrong, and you click into that fact that something's wrong. And it's just the technology to do it, I think, that drastically, or at least that drastically, this in your face about it. It's still not there yet. This felt closer to me. I don't think it's as bad, but it felt closer to me in the way that they did Jeff Bridges and Tron. We talked about it as an example where like they were so confident that like, look at this fucking badass cool shit that we can do, but they were confidently wrong about how well it was done. And it's the exact same thing here, where it's more screen time than we had with probably about the same screen time, but at least most of de-aged Jeff Bridges was in the Tron world. There was only the one instance in the real world where it's real fucked looking. The other one is the kind of a glossy digital video gamey kind of look, so it kind of like sort of fits in the world. Here it doesn't. Right. Here it doesn't at all.
That's the other thing too. There's almost a tactile difference. Like there's a texture difference between his face and like the rest of the world. Like you can tell.
Yeah, the rest of it feels old timey. Right. His face looks like a glossy digital mask over a person. I guess. He looks like a CG character, and in the 1940s, World War II era, Nazi shit. Germany or where the French Alps, I guess is where it is. But yeah, kind of, yeah, right. It's a little Roger Rabbity, but it's not very well done. But I will say, and I don't know if maybe it's the like you said, the Alita thing of getting used to it. But when mild spoiler. He is initially in a Nazi uniform, and then he's later in a classic indie outfit. I thought it looked better when he was in the indie outfit, and I don't know if it's because the hat obscures kind of the hair and part of his face, or maybe it's just the way that it was shot was less, full face shots and more just like moving shots where you're not just staring directly at him. I don't know. I swear it looked better in the later parts of it. Maybe it was a different team that worked on that section. I don't know. Or that was where they switched to another different technology. I don't even know that. But I swear it didn't bother me at all. Like the hat came on. I'm like, I'm clicked in now. This is fine.
Yeah.
But that's minute 20 of 25 roughly. It's just kind of the unfortunate side of that. So, it's an interesting way to start a film, and not one that's wholly successful. I think a little distracting overall, a little overlong perhaps, but they certainly went for it with it. So
they did.
So that sets the stage for the movie, and then you get roughly 2 hours after that of old Indy. So how about the rest of the movie? How does it play once it shifts to the present, then present day, I guess, for what this Indy is, 1969.
So I thought that as almost as less of an indie movie, like Indiana Jones, and more of a Indiana Jones movie, a movie about Indiana Jones, right? Mm-hmm. I think that it's successful. I thought it was a really good. And Indiana Jones is not known for being a character study on a particular person, right? Like Indiana Jones is just
more
like
the sense of adventure
and adventurous
cool artifact,
right.
And some sort of third act, like oh shit, kind of big deal sort of thing.
That's right. And in this, you get more Indy. Indy's more of a character in this movie, and more ways than he has been, I think, in maybe the third Indy.
I think Last Crusade we get a good amount because you get the young Indy, you get his dad, who's obviously a big character. So that feels like there's a lot of character development,
a lot of heart
growth.
there.
But and Raiders tells you everything you need to know about him, and then Temple of Doom does nothing to expand on it. It's not and then Crystal Skull is, I don't know, just kind of status quo.
Not an indie movie at all, right? So I think that this is it sheds a lot of light on Indiana Jones, and and it does a really good job of like framing the story around a character who's 80 years old on an adventure, right?
His very, very extremely, almost certainly likely last outing,
right?
Both for Harrison, obviously, as an actor playing Indy, but just in general, this is it for Indy, is I think very much the way they set it up and the way they kind of portray it throughout is, he's too old for this shit, but he's still got a little bit left, and
that's right.
in him to be the adventurer.
And it does a really interesting job of, like the movie ends in a way, that says that even though maybe this type of stuff isn't going to be happening anymore, or just because you have to change the page in life and you have to turn to another chapter, doesn't mean the story's over, right? You can life continues, as things change, whether it be age or whatever, and it's just a really, really awesome story. I was. There's parts of the story like the not superficial, but like the adventurous stuff. Yeah, it's got some Goonie-esque adventure, which is pretty cool. And it's got some, they did dabble a little bit into Crystal Skull territory with some of the, like larger than life adventure elements. But I felt like those larger than life elements kind of, were in service of Indy's personal journey forward as an aging adventurer, and I thought that this is, like story wise and character wise, I thought Indy's character arc was awesome. I thought it was very good. It was touching, and as a closing on the IP, I think it's well done. I think there's things that could have certainly been better. I could have done without 25 minutes worth of de-aging. I could have done much more like subtle artifacts that did subtler things. But at the end of the day, I think it set out what it intended to do. And be that good or bad, I think that story-wise and character-wise, I think they did a good job to Indiana Jones, which to me is, it's easy to be smug about certain things, but glad that they gave a character that I've really enjoyed a serviceable ending. I thought it was good. Beginning, middles, and ends. It's good. It's what everybody needs. You know what I mean? And this was a serviceable ending, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I really agree on the servicing Indiana Jones as a character. I think that this has some really, really strong story moments, story beats, in which Harrison, just to get that out of the way, Harrison Ford, maybe however fucking old he is, let's fact check how old he actually is. I think he was, he's 80 now, so he was 78, 79 when he filmed this. He's fantastic. He's still got it. I mean, without question, he's got the charisma. He's still the charmer that he always was. He's a little older and a little bit more wrinkly. Yeah. But he's still Indy, and it's funny because I feel like his public persona, Harrison Ford's public persona, is kind of this curmudgeon. In the last couple decades, he's been curmudgeonly, and I think he's always been upfront about how he never really liked Han Solo as a character. Pushed for him to get killed, and Return of the Jedi came back for The Force Awakens on the condition that he be killed. And I think he's been very vocal about how he just loves the character of Indiana Jones. By comparison, even though they're kind of like, I don't know, two sides to the same coin, I would say. He's always just like Indy more. Maybe it's, the less of the space, bullshit that he enjoys, the more grounded affair. But I think because of his love for the character, it's clear that even when the material isn't as good as it maybe once was, and this is true of Crystal Skull as well, he's always game, and he always goes for it, and he's really, really good, and I think he's fun in the adventure-y kind of bits, but I think those character moments that you're talking about, the things that really serviced Indy as a character in this movie particularly, he's incredible in those moments. Just a very, very powerful performance, and I'm glad that he was game for this to make kind of one last Indy thing because Crystal Skull wasn't, you don't want to finish your franchise with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, I will say I did watch all four, I including Crystal Skull, yes, to include it. My rewatch, I thought Crystal Skull was slightly more enjoyable than Temple of Doom, actually, and maybe that's heresy, maybe that's blasphemy to those listening. I apologize, but Temple of Doom is not only offensive, but it's just fucking bad. It's just fucking bad. And Crystal Skull, don't get me wrong, is bad. And it's got Shia LaBeouf in it, and that's obviously a big blight on it or whatever. But I found myself relatively entertained by most of it, and then it kind of just progressively went more and more off the rails. Like, yeah, there's the nuke the fridge bit, there's other stuff, fucking aliens and whatnot. But like for the first 45 minutes to an hour, I was like, minus the nuke the fridge stuff, kind of okay with it, and then it just kind of got worse and worse and worse. But overall, I still found myself more engaged with it. This feels, even though it's certainly not the pinnacle of the franchise, feels like a step in the right direction to finish Indy off, for a franchise. It's not Raiders, it's not Last Crusade, but it I think it puts Indiana Jones in, positive territory, roughly 3 for 5. I don't know if it's a wholly successful movie for me. I think, if anything, it's kind of always okay to good, but never great, but never outright bad either, I think, overall, is kind of how I felt about it. So it's kind of middle of the road, middle of the pack, which is better. That's better a unique experience for Indiana Jones. It's usually, it's one or the other. It's good or bad, like I said. You pick one, and this one is somewhere in the middle. It's bucking the trend, but not in a super, super bad way. For what the franchise, I don't, the way that the franchise is, has kind of developed.
Yeah, it's at a TikTok. So
the TikTok, yes, exactly. So this is almost neither a tick nor a talk. It's just kind of Tiok, I guess. I don't know. The clock got stuck somewhere as it was trying to, signal the next, hour or whatever. But yeah, I think that there's a lot to like in it. I think it's too fucking long. I think obviously the de-aging stuff is too fucking long. And yeah, maybe you can make the point, oh, you guys are talking about it for too fucking long. Look, they clearly made a big fucking deal out of this sequence. I said that James Mangold was like, this is good, we're going to make more. That was a bad move. It should have been maybe 15 minutes max. I like the idea of doing this kind of de-aging bit, but they needed to be less in your face about it, of, hide his face as much as possible. We can put in, understand why they're not showing us full ND, all the time. I just think that's too long. There are certain things where it's like there's like 3 or 4 different chase sequences, and I found them to be kind of repetitive by the last one. It's like, cut one of those. You cut probably 10 minutes of screen time, and the action itself is less repetitive.
Yes, they do that way too much.
It's a little quantum of solace for my taste of we don't have anything else to do, so we'll just throw a fucking chase sequence in there. And it's not, they're like all vehicle chases, you know what I mean? Like they're not like, at least Quantum of Solace was like, we're going to do one of every vehicle and a foot chase. This is kind of just the same beats a lot,
right,
over and over and over again, like a different setting, but that doesn't make it interesting. Certainly after you see it, a couple times anyway. Oh, he's on a horse this time. Oh, well, it's totally different now. But I liked a lot in it without loving much of it.
It's good.
I thought a solid villain. Fucking Maz is awesome. I loved Maz. I thought he was a good villain. It's indie. They every other movie they just swing back around to Nazis, and that's okay. That's fine.
That's what it is.
Nazis are classic villains,
They suck.
Hateable pieces of shit, and you needed a little reminder. Nazis still fucking suck, bro. And I think there's enough of the old blended in. You get some old characters that return, some familiar faces, and some new faces. I like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think she was a good, solid addition.
I like that big guy, the big villain,
the big henchman guy. That's an indie staple to have a big fucker who you're like, how are they gonna deal with this guy? All right, we need a plane propeller. We need something. His exit, not to spoil things. I enjoyed his exit.
So fucking goofy. We'll talk about it.
But yeah, some good, solid, fun elements in it. The third act swing, I think, is going to be hit or miss for people. Much in the same way I think that Crystal Skull was kind of a oh boy moment for a lot of people. Probably yourself included, somewhat myself included. I like the idea, the execution I don't like in Crystal Skull. Here, I think I'm more on the hit side of things. It sounds like you maybe are not. From what I was gathering, but
I like the I like the premise,
the idea, not the execution. It's kind of
right.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. We'll get into it. But yeah, it's a solid cap to the franchise. It's not a rousing success as a movie. It's certainly not a rousing success from a box office standpoint. But I think it's a movie that deserves to, I don't know, have.
It's an Indiana Jones movie.
Have a little bit more of an audience.
Jones,
it's an Indiana Jones movie. It feels like it belongs. And given that this is now it for Indiana Jones, I'm okay. This feels like I don't need more. I'm not going to ask for more. This was good enough as a finale.
That's right.
I wish it could have been better, without a doubt. I think even this exact movie that's 2 hours and 10 minutes versus 2 hours and 34 minutes is I think there's a way to cut this movie down. The pacing it felt long. It really felt long, and it is kind of long. I think just there's not enough beats in this movie to justify the runtime, and I think that holds it back a bit. I don't think it's a bad looking movie. I mean, the de-aging concerns aside, I don't know how the fuck they spent as much money as they did on this. That's kind of wild to me. To me, it didn't look like a $300 million movie.
Well, again, on Avatar.
Well, right, exactly. I mean, we talked about Avatar being like, the pinnacle of visual effects earlier, and it's like, you couldn't do that here. It's fucking Disney still. I mean, yeah, it's not 20th century. It's, it's over at Lucasfilm, but like, I don't know. Someone called James Cameron and be like, how did you do it, man?
Hey, Jimmy,
how'd you do it?
You help us out here? We just need to make, we don't need to shoot anything underwater. We just need to make Harrison.
Well, they did shoot stuff underwater, but we don't need to make blue people underwater for this. But But yeah, just I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's easier to animate, super tall blue people than it is to animate people and not, have them look kind of fucked and janky and CG as a result. I really don't know. But yeah, it's just, again, not a bad looking movie at all. I mean, I could tell that there's some money that they put into it in terms of the set pieces and everything, but to me, it never wowed me in any way that it feels like a movie that they spent as much money as they did should. So, all in all, I think pretty solid. Oh, maybe even good, mostly good, but not great. Yeah, it's kind of where I stand with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Would you like to do a recommendation before we get to some spoilers?
Yeah, totally. We can do
all right, so we got a 3-tiered recommendation here. I think Anna hasn't listened in a few episodes. She doesn't know that we switched our scheme. So it's, would you recommend people go see this in theaters? Wait to watch it at home, be it streaming Disney Plus in this, right? Almost certainly here, or 4K release or whatever. Or do people need to be paid to watch this movie? I think we can probably chuck that last one out. I don't think it's that bad. It's that would be to I guess also tack on maybe some Indiana Jones franchise rankings. I think we can safely say that Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade would definitely be they would see in theaters movies, and both Temple of Doom and Crystal Skull would get paid to watch movies.
Absolutely, for sure.
Okay, so where does this fit in? Is it in the middle, or is it good enough to warrant a theater visit in your estimation?
So my recommendation is twofold. If you have any sort of stake in Indiana Jones, if Indiana Jones means something to you in some way,
sure,
go see this in theaters. It's the last one. For me, I want to. I can't
needs all the help it can get.
Yeah, it does. I can't remember if I saw Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in theaters. I feel like I probably did.
Yeah, that was high school era for us. I mean, feels like a thing we would have done. I know I did, but I think I worked at a theater at the time, so it was pretty easy for me.
But if I didn't, this would be the only... Well, I mean, I'm just going to say this is the only Indiana Jones movie I've seen in theaters, because that's not an Indiana Jones movie. That last one wasn't. Yeah. Anyways, it's an experience. It's cool to hear the theme song and see Indy on the big screen. Yeah, it's classic stuff.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it, but old Johnny was back for this.
Johnny's back. I stayed to make sure it was him too.
Yep, John Williams. I mean, talking about Harrison Ford being old, John Williams is 91 years old. I think.
Ooh.
I don't know if I feel like he's retired several times, but I really think that this is. I think this is probably it for him. Yeah. Is what it seems like.
What a career that guy's had.
I quickly looked. He said it would likely be his last, and then by January 23, he said he has at least 10 more years to go. We'll see. We'll see, I guess. I mean, if the man could live forever, I would be content with that.
Absolutely. Keep making music, man.
But yeah, and you know what? I respect someone that just says, I love doing the thing that I love, and I'm going to do it until I die. I respect the hell out of that.
That's awesome.
So anyway, classic Johnny stuff here. John Williams score is good. Just want to throw that out there.
As a quality of film goes, I think this is middle of the pack. And like, if you're not stapled in, like, if, for example, Sarah, she started to watch. We started to watch some Indiana Joneses, and I ended up finishing them by myself, and so she didn't really care. And to her, I would say we can just stream. If you want to pick up the other ones and then watch this one, we'll just watch this one at home. You know what I mean? It's a middle of content wise. I think it's a middle of the road movie. But as a staked person in the franchise, I think it's worth seeing in theaters. I was happy to watch it in theaters.
Yeah. I think
That's my twofold answer.
It's cheating, but I'll co-sign it. Is what I'll do. I agree. I mean, I really think as a movie, it's definitely a quality-wise, like, you could not see this for a few months, see it on Disney Plus, and I think be just as happy as you would be seeing it in theaters. Save yourself a few bucks, not have to deal with psychos, etc.
Corn cobs, yeah.
Corn cobs and such, peas, whatever. Slosh and ice. Gotta slosh it around before I have a sip, big old sippy sip, and then slam my drink down. I was like, is it like prison behavior? You know what I mean? Like, just squaring your meal kind of shit. I was like, there's something off about this. I was like, it's a little militaristic, but I've got some experience in that realm, but I don't know, man.
The interesting thing is, some weird shit going. How did they make him look like that?
I don't know. If only there were 30 articles on this exact subject on that little thing called the internet.
I don't think he's heard of that either.
I don't think so either.
I don't know. It's a strange one, dude. You got yourself an interesting question. You should have asked him after the theater. I apologize. If we seemed cross or anything. I'm just really interested. Where are you guys from? Like,
what's your fucking deal, man?
What's your deal, dude?
I mean this in the nicest way possible.
What the fuck's your deal?
What's your story? Let's get a documentary going on this guy, Mario
we
and Luigi.
We host a podcast called Watch, Review, Repeat. We'd love to have you on it.
I would lose my fucking mind.
Don't want to release where you live? Don't want to let them know?
Oh, yeah, no. Oh, no, that would be bad. That would be very bad. But anyway.
Anyways.
Yes, quality-wise, I think it's go see it or wait to see it at home, I think is how I feel about it. Yeah. But I will say, yes, as someone that's an indie fan, I think anyone that is an indie fan, I think there's something to like in here. For whatever reason, it seems to be a polarizing movie for indie fans. People are like, "This is worse than Crystal Skull," and I don't really.
What?
I don't really know how you. I don't really know how you get there. Like, to me, it's not. It's not any bigger a swing and miss than like Aliens was in terms of like the thing of it, and I don't know that it. I don't know. I mean, I think like Star Wars, like when Force Awakens, like obviously the Star Wars sequels are a sore subject for a lot of people for very many different reasons. Like The Last Jedi is an extremely polarizing movie. And I at least kind of like look at that and think that I understand why people are pissed off about this, take on Luke Skywalker that we got. I don't really see that here, if that makes sense. I don't know that there's anything in here that's so egregious or so out of bounds for what we've seen from indie, especially given the fact that we've had some real shit indie movies. Like, I don't know if it's the same people that love Temple of Doom that are pissed off about this movie, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't really get that. So I mean, I say as a general, thing I agree with you. Like, if you have attachment to the indie franchise, I think it's a pretty decent and fitting swan song for Harrison and the role for the character. And it's not a perfect movie. It's got its issues, but all in all, it does enough. I think it does enough.
I think it did enough. So it did enough for me. So yeah. So anyway, why don't we do some full spoilers for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, our last hurrah with Indiana Jones, the last spoiler-filled coverage of Indiana Jones until they reboot it with Chris Pratt in 5 years. They gotta wait for Harrison to be in the grave before they even think about doing that, because he would kill people. He would kill people. He would strangle them with his bare hands, and I would not blame him for that. Jeez.
So yeah, do we want to start with the big swing? Do you want to get into that right away? You want to save that? The third act shenanigans. What do you think? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, no, fast and loose, dude.
Well, we could talk about just really the Dial of Destiny, the Anti-Kythera, which is a
real thing.
I guess. It is. It is a real thing. It doesn't involve time travel or time fissures or whatever. It doesn't really have anything to do with that. But it is an ancient Greek device. This could have been a fun fact that we could have done.
It was my fun fact, but I didn't know if it was
I see. Okay, all right, I gotcha. Well, then, if you want to tell me about what it is, then by all means, go ahead.
So I don't have it in front of me any longer, but
Typical.
It's a Greek device that was found in a shipwreck. I think in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. And it's an analog computer. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the Greeks used this. There's no other version of this device. I don't think. I don't want to say this is the only one that's ever been found. They found it at the bottom of in the Mediterranean Sea or some shit. I'm not quite sure. And they pull it out, and it's an analog computer. And if I'm not mistaken, they've taken like 3D 3D scans of this thing. And to see how like the internals work, and then they've recreated it outside of the, they just recreated it. And I think it predicts, I want to say that it predicts like the tides or something like that.
I'm looking, predict astronomical positions, eclipses decades in advance is kind of some examples.
I mean, like it's truly a ridiculous piece of machinery.
Yeah, that's insane because it's ancient Greek, and I think it's been dated to 2nd century BC, which is
mind blowing.
That's a long time ago. That's even longer than the Green Knight shit, that we talked about.
Yeah.
Like by many hundreds of years. It's crazy.
Just makes you really wonder if humanity could pull their head out of their ass for like any sort of real time, how much more advanced would we be, right?
Yeah.
Like the Greeks you're telling me that the Greeks had analog computers before like would it be before the Dark Ages or after? That's after I don't know my times. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Why is that not on every ship? Why is there only one version of this device? Why is it not everywhere?
I don't know.
Interesting stuff. Anyways, I digress. So
yeah,
yes.
no, it's really interesting. I think it's something I didn't know about before this movie, but I think it's a fun artifact to center the movie around. I think it was a solid
really
choice. Cool. I think Dial of Destiny as a title is kind of shit. But I like this as a central device, and I guess it's better than Indiana Jones and the Antikythera or whatever. But Indiana Jones and the ancient Greek thingamajig, whatchamadude. So I liked where it went. The taking. I mean, yes, time travel ish. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much fucking time travel. It's time travel through this very specific mechanism. Taking us back to 212 BC, the siege of Syracuse. Fucking Roman armies and big shit, and you got Nazi planes flying around. It's chaos and ridiculous, but I think in a good, solid indie sort of way for me. I had fun with it. I had fun with it. You didn't like the execution, is kind of what you were saying before.
Yeah,
what about
it? It felt.
It was a little Legends of Tomorrow, I think, but in a bigger budget sort of way. A little hokey, but I don't know, fun for me.
It was just like they hop in the plane and they ride into this thing that's in the clouds.
Right. Yeah.
Which is always there, apparently, right? Like it's always in like there's time fissures all over the place. We've never flown into a storm to see them. And I don't know. It was just a little. Like, what's the deal? Like in the first indie, you've got the
Ark of the Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant, which is like,
I don't know, has some sort of biblical power that release ghosts and melts faces. I still don't really understand what the power that the Ark actually is supposed to be. Like how you would utilize that. I mean, obviously, the Nazis weren't very successful about utilizing it in that movie, but I've never quite wrapped my head around what it was intended to do. I think the others were a little bit more. I mean, like Temple of Doom had the
rock.
Yeah, the rocks that
No, and the rocks actually didn't seem. Well, I guess they did do something. They let that guy. They were a link, like when they were paired together.
When the three of them were together, they had some sort of special properties. Yeah, but there was also like the ancient gods or whatever that they were. Possessing people.
Who knows what the fuck was going on in that movie?
Let's just move on from that. But the Holy Grail, that's a very tangible, sort of cool religious artifact, and a very tangible, sort of understandable thing of everlasting life, right? That totally makes sense.
Low key, easy. Now the other one, the first one, that one's not necessarily low key. But it's a device that you really can't understand.
Yeah, the power of God maybe is kind of what it is, and like who knows what that means,
Exactly, and how to interpret that or whatever. They don't know. They open it up and it fucks you up. You know what I mean?
As soon as it opened, everyone just it's just bad news.
Right. That's a real simple thing. And then you got Crystal Skulls, which is transports these people to another dimension. It fries the fucking brain.
Interdimensional aliens or something.
So that's another one that could be interesting if the execution was far better than what it was.
Right. Yes, I agree. The problem was not aliens. The problem was how they did aliens.
Yeah, it's just very strange. And then this one, they understood the artifact, they utilized the artifact, and well, I guess they didn't completely understand it, but by the time they used it and everything,
well, they thought they could control it, right? The idea is we think we can basically set our destination, and because Maz wants to go back and kill Hitler so that he can successfully lead Nazi Germany to victory, because he thinks, what does he say? You didn't win the war, Hitler lost it. Is that's his motivation? Is I'm the best Nazi there is. I'm better than Hitler.
Right.
Like I'm gonna go back, change the course of history by taking over and leading things in the right direction or whatever. Which is kind of interesting. It feels like a very Nazi sort of thing to do. Minus I think what Indy says he's that you're a weird Nazi or whatever. One that wants to kill Hitler, but still. Feels properly Nazi in terms of scope and aspirations and such. So,
and then, but they didn't do that. They just they went further back,
a bit further back,
and then he says it's not Aristotle. What's his name?
Archimedes. He says
that you were always going to see me. Does he say that to be cheeky about fate, like it's just his destiny to come here? Or does he say it because this dial led them to a fissure that brings them back? It brings the help that he needed to turn the tide on the war.
That's kind of the impression I got, was it was always destined to go to this point in time. So it didn't matter whether the Nazis accounted for continental drift or whatever. It's just... the dial works one way and you didn't really understand how it worked, which I think is kind of closer to how the other artifacts worked in Raiders and Last Crusade. Like Raiders, it's like no one understands what the Ark of the Covenant actually does. They open it up and it's just this awesome power that just melts faces. The Holy Grail has its catch. You can't leave the boundaries of where it is when it won't work, and the whole fucking thing crumbles and stuff like that. Like everything always has some sort of catch. Right, something
you have no control. Right.
Correct. So you think you understand its magnificent power and have a way to wield it and control it, and it turns out actually you were just there for you were there for the ride the whole time. This thing is really what was in control. And so that's the way I read it, because again that feels to me in line with other indie movies and how they've treated these things, and it's interesting. I think that's kind of a neat way of doing it. It's better than going back to de-aging Nazi time. We already spent 30 minutes there. We didn't need to go back to 1944.
And not to get into the weeds here, because I got a final thought on it, but Maz gets hit by a fucking cross guard or something going
great.
80 mile an hour, and there's that. But he gets clipped. He gets clotheslined by this thing off this train.
Yeah.
And there's just no way this guy's fucking alive. There's no way.
Yeah, that guy should have been Darth Mold. He's in half now.
Yeah, right? Anyways. So I
gathered... a little silly, yeah.
We arrived at the same conclusion about the thing. Like, it wasn't... It was essentially a map to get to him. Mm-hmm. To get to Archimedes.
I think Archimedes just wanted to meet some time travelers, so he built this thing. This
thing didn't cause the fissure, though.
That I don't know. I would say the problem. Didn't fully comprehend that.
Maybe I
don't think so. No, I think the idea is it leads them to the fissure. It's not creating it itself.
Right. So the fissure's always there.
Yeah.
And I guess I just don't understand that.
I'd have to see it again, but I'm not going to see it anytime soon.
I'm not going to. Right. Maybe it's something we look up on the internets. But anyways, it seemed to me like a larger than life kind of thing. And whereas in my opinion, I think the artifacts that we've seen in past are I guess with the aside from the Ark of the Covenant, they seem like simple things. They're not larger than life. They're simple.
Yeah. This is, and I think, yes, I agree. This is pretty bad. And I guess this is a simple even relative to some of the other ones.
It's a simple device too. It's a map that shows you how to get to this hole in the universe.
Right, ripple in space and time kind of shit. I don't know.
I just don't understand the hole in the universe kind of thing. It seems like that. Yeah, just kind of.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. To be quite honest, I'm not really sure either. Yeah, I don't know.
What about Big Guy? Big Guy falling into he for some reason he loses the ability to walk on this bridge, because he's so enormously large.
He's too big. He's too big. He's got too much mass. So he's just sinking right through the fucking wooden planks.
He's stomping his feet and shit, trying to cross it. Boom, 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 boom.
He's got to furrow his brow as he crosses the bridge.
I don't know what this is. What is this? What is this? Let me. I don't know.
What is this substance? I don't know, but I guess it was an excuse for not short round to be able to take him out.
Not short round. That's it. Yeah, we got a not short round in this movie, which I found. I found it it's just a little distasteful. I don't need this.
Yeah. I didn't think he was outright bad, but I didn't need him. Is kind of how I felt about him. And then, I liked he magically taught himself how to swim. That was good. Good for him. Pat on the back for that sort of thing. But I did like the actual, the big guy's death. I thought was getting handcuffed to the bars underwater. That was pretty brutal. Because I will say the whole movie, I'm like, how's this guy going out? And how's the other guy going out? The fucking lieutenant guy who's a crazy guy who's just shoots the other professors and stuff. Really, the dude's just unhinged. Yeah. I guess he's just a fucking Nazi, basically. That's it. Or a wannabe Nazi. He's a modern day Nazi, if you will. Is kind of the impression I got. But I thought that he would get. I feel like he and Maz, they didn't. They crashed in the plane and got burnt to a little bit of a crispy crisp at the end. But I thought, I don't know, I was expecting some face melting, or even like the one guy in Last Crusade when he drinks from the wrong grail, gets just completely fucking fucked up and disintegrates into a skeleton.
That would have been cool to see, Archimedes.
I don't know. I guess I thought there was going to be a little bit more comeuppance for the Nazis at the end, and it was just yeah, they got fucked up and died, and they failed their quest and mission, but I'm okay with seeing Nazis melting. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's totally okay.
It's totally okay. Exactly. So yeah, that was a little odd. The kid didn't bother me that much. The biggest thing where I was just, oh no, was when that kid started up an airplane and started flying it. And I was just like, now this is pod racing, is the only thing that entered my brain. And then the only thing I think that saved that sequence, and the only reason he's on that fucking plane is because they need a way to get back to the Fisher. That's all it is. It's just it's a plot device to get Indy and Helena basically back from 212 BC. But I'm just glad that there was a Greek pilot that's the heaviest sleeper just chilling in there. Because I'm like, all right, at least there's an actual fucking pilot. If this kid was flying this plane around the whole third act, I think that would have been the bridge too far for me.
Oh my gosh.
Not the time travel, not the time fissure, not Nazis and trying to go back and assassinate Hitler. No, it would have been this kid. It's not short round flying this fucking plane, all around. And
Indy.
Yeah. What's with the here? You bring back Sala, you bring back Marion. Great, good. Where's short round? Tell me, Kiwi Kwan couldn't be fucked to come back. I think James Mangold's got a bone to pick.
Yeah.
So they should have bring back Shorty. # bring back Shorty. Or give me a Shorty spinoff. You want to continue the indie franchise? Kiwi Kwan's now he's an established star. Give me a Shorty spinoff.
I was just gonna say I would like the Eva Green indie show. I'd like that. Or Helena.
Oh yeah,
Eva
yeah.
Green. She does look like Eva Green, doesn't she?
Maybe a little younger. But yeah, that'd be fine. She's good.
I thought she was good. I enjoyed her presence in this whole thing.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah, she's good. I liked her. Kind of a, not so much in it for the museum parts of it, more for the money parts of it, but fun, and a little bit of a contrast to Indy, and that's good. He didn't need a carbon copy younger female version of Indy here. You have someone that he's able to play off of, but has a pre-existing relationship with, which is, I can't remember if I said as much earlier. I'm glad they didn't try to like romantically pair Indy with anyone, and I don't mean with her, particularly. Obviously, that would have been fucking weird.
That would have been very strange.
But I just mean in general, it's like, you know what, you don't need that. And Indy, he got married in the end of Crystal Skull. Trouble in Paradise there, obviously. But I think that it's okay to let Indy just kind of be on his own, and have other sort of dynamics with people. I thought that was good to not force the issue there. But yeah, I think I can't remember. I may have cut you off inadvertently, and I apologize if so. That just reminds me, I guess. I think like there's some really good story moments that we talked about that we alluded to earlier in terms of like Indy's arc, and I think for me, the stuff with Mutt. They killed off Shia.
Yeah, they did. They
killed him off screen between movies. He enlisted, died in the Vietnam War.
They gave him much more.
They gave him more meaning by killing him than they ever could have
ever had.
Than they ever had in that one movie he actually was in. I think the moment where he's talking to Helen on the boat and just kind of talking about the impact of that Mutt's death had
going
on his
back
life
in time. That was
is awesome. And then really by the end when Indy's like, I just want to stay here. Like he's got nothing to live for. Back in 1969, he's a broken old man who is separated from Marion and has no son, and the fucking coworkers now have been murdered, and apparently everyone thinks he did it. They didn't really resolve that bit, but I guess maybe someone would clean that up for him. Maybe the CIA would actually fucking do something other than just help Nazis, I guess. I don't know. But
you know what I really loved about this too? Not to cut you off.
Yeah, that's all right.
I guess I'm
cutting me off when I cut you off. It's probably fair.
It's a tit for tat kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I may not have cut you off, in which case now you're the asshole. But whatever, you do you.
Fuck. Oh, I love the fact that when they have this interaction at the end of the movie, and he wakes up, he comes to, and Ravenwood walks to the door, and she there's something along the lines of like she says you're back, and you come to the realization that that it was almost Indy. Indy was suffering from the death of his son, and he was stuck. So it's really cool. It's really cool that the whole thing's about time, and Indy was the one that was stuck.
Yeah.
And it took him going back to start moving forward again. I think it was a really cleverly written story progression for his character. That was really awesome.
I agree. I know, and like it made sense why he'd want to stay behind. This other time where he's seeing history play out in the way that. He
can be stuck in time.
He was teaching to the disillusioned youths who once upon a time had "I love you" written on their eyelids, and now they can't even be fucked to pay attention or read books and stuff. And Indy is just kind of stuck. He yearns for the good old days kind of thing, and not the Nazi part sort of it, but you know what I mean, like the adventure and people being interested. And now the world is just such a different place, and so much personal turmoil has happened for him that it's like, what's left? What's there for me?
Yeah.
And he has to quite literally be punched, into remembering, hey, there is still something to live for. There is still something to care about. So yeah, I thought that was all. I think just the actual arc itself was very good, and I think the progression, as you said, and the resolution. You get the little reversal of the Raiders of the Lost Ark scene of where does it hurt, and with him and Marion, which was just
kind of brought a tear to my eye.
I brought a tear to my eye too. I was like, most of this movie kind of left me like, this is fun. I'm having a good time. It's good. It's a little long, all right, whatever. This guy next to me is unhinged and a psychopath, but that moment to me was like, no, that was genuine. That was emotional and heartfelt, and like a really smart and clever callback. That was just that was a potent moment.
Makes the characters feel real, and you feel. As a fan of Indiana Jones, something like that's just a really sweet payoff.
Yeah, it's a long and winding journey through a couple of shit films and half of a, like a half good film to get to that point, but it feels earned by the time you get there. You like that emotional payoff, and when they do a little circle shot of the hat hanging up the hat, I'm like,
he snatches it off.
Yeah, he does snatch it off. That's right. And
that I think that's the cool. When I was talking earlier about like he's not going to be adventuring anymore, right? But he snatches the hat off.
He's still Indiana Jones. He's not Henry Jones Jr. He's Indiana Jones.
Life goes on. Life goes on, man.
Just like John Williams keeps trucking on forever, Indiana Jones will truck on forever, and marching to the beat of his own drum. So yeah, it was good. It was good. What else is there? I think we've hit a lot of the big points. Antonio Banderas is in this for 5 minutes. Good on him.
Gets fucked up.
He gets fucked up, and that's unfortunate. I saw someone kind of make an interesting point of basically like, it's a classic moment where, like in Sala comes in, you have John Rhys Davies, and it's like, oh, it's Sala, great, good, and he comes back around at the end, oh, good. It's like, you're reunited with an old friend. Here it's kind of the same thing, and it's like, well, he doesn't really have any other old friends. Other than Short Round, it could have been Short Round or whatever, they could have done that with. But it was a kind of a fun sort of clever way of doing it of, who is this old friend of Indy's? Well, it's someone we've never met before, but it's fucking Antonio Banderas. So you're like, okay,
that's cool.
All right,
right.
Everyone knows who this guy is. Yeah, we're friends with this guy.
He's a charismatic guy, charismatic shipboat captain.
Seems like someone that Indy would be friends with for sure. Yeah. So it was kind of fun, but it was just kind of mostly a non-factor, a little fun cameo, more or less. But hey, whatever. It was all right.
Cool.
At least it wasn't really a chase. It was a boat in the middle of the sea, and then another boat shows up in the middle of the sea and takes over the other boat. So it wasn't necessarily a chase at that point. So that was fine. Yeah. What else? What else you got? You got anything else? Did you stay for the post-credit scene of Chris Pratt ripping the hat off of Harrison Ford?
I swear to God, I looked it up and it said there was no post-credit scene.
No, there actually was not for this one. They let it
Good
rest.
on them.
They let it end.
Let it end.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty much out of thoughts on Indiana Jones. I think we've covered it pretty adequately.
It's good. Yeah. Love it.
A solid finale.
Rankings. How do you rank your Indiana Joneses?
I think we're going to align. Well, no, I take it back. I don't think we are going to align. I think we're going to differ slightly. And I think once upon a time, when we did our rankings in our bonus episode, we did align. But I think I feel a little bit differently. And obviously, we've got a fifth one to throw in there as our this is our final sign off for how we stand on Indiana Jones. I am going to say from best to worst, in my opinion, or at least my favorite to my least favorite, because I think the top two are interchangeable depending on kind of what your vibe is. Last Crusade is my favorite, followed very, very, very closely by Raiders of the Lost Ark, followed a good ways away by Dial of Destiny.
Okay.
And then I think very, very large gap, huge chasm to, I'm going to say, and these two are neck and neck, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna put Crystal Skull a hair above Temple of Doom for me in terms of enjoyment factor, which is the opposite of what I said when we did our bonus episode. But I had more fun with Crystal Skull this time than Temple of Doom, with again the major caveat of they're both very bad. So that's where I stand. I think you might disagree on the latter two. Maybe you agree elsewhere, but I'll leave it up to you. Obviously.
I agree all the way up. I have to say this. I agree all the way up until until these two worst movies.
Yeah. And fair enough.
I think you have a solid 3 movies here with Last Crusade and Raiders and Dial of Destiny. Like you say, there's a good chunk behind. There's a good gap between 1, 2, and then this third movie as far as those rankings and quality goes. But like, if it was only a trilogy and we didn't have these other 2 movies to talk about, the 2 worst ones, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would expect there to be one that is
not as good as the others.
Exactly.
It's usually the third in a trilogy, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Wouldn't bat an eye about it. But now these other 2 movies, I guess it's been almost 5 years since our bonus episode.
Yeah. Basically 5 years. Yeah.
Temple of Doom's just really kind of offensive. Yeah.
That's pretty bad. It was also offensive 5 years ago. And I think we basically said as much, but I think it continues to age more and more poorly as time goes on.
Is that what happens? Yeah. It was just, and even if it's even if you in a maybe you're in life in a vacuum and eat corn cobs in the movie theater and you don't know that Temple of Doom is offensive. It's still really, really, really fucking bad.
Yeah, it's just also not good. It's not only offensive, it's also just outright bad. It's a double whammy sort of movie.
Like that, I think that one had the punch, but from the view of the arm. Do you remember that? In the
probably
first
watched it within the past week and a half, but
it's real bad. It's a real bad movie. And then I remember Crystal Skulls being terribly bad, but maybe I should have watched it.
I think with Crystal Skull there was a lot of unnecessary CG and reliance on green screen and stuff that really made it look very ugly. Star Wars prequel-esque kind of ugly. And I think that the story direction itself was fine. It's just it really never really amounted to anything terribly worthwhile. And you got Shia LaBeouf swinging with monkeys. There's just no excusing that bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just nothing you can do about it. And Anna hadn't seen it, and it was just if they did it one thing, he gets stuck up there and he swings one time, fine. But he swings fucking 9 times, and it's geez, he swings through the whole goddamn jungle.
The car falling on the tree and then it landing.
Oh yeah, that's what we call a Dom Toretto move, a Fast and Furious kind of thing. It's because it jumps off the thing and catches the crane that swings them around, and then they jump off to the other cliff. It's basically that. It's quite literally that, basically. So, the ants.
I will say that
it's got some bad shit in it. I'm not. Let's be clear. I am absolutely not saying that it's good in any way. Really,
is
Cate Blanchett is she's great and looks good doing it, but other than that, Harrison's game and goes for it. But yeah, it's got some pretty big fucking issues. Yes, it's bad.
Redeeming qualities it's not enough to redeem them.
No.
But high points of Temple of Doom, the sexual tension,
nocturnal activities.
Nocturnal, I love that scene. I think that's excellent. I think it's so good. He finds the statue and pushes the boobs on the statue, and then he goes on that bit, where Short Round leans against the wall, and they're gonna get crushed, and they had to walk through the fucking centipedes and shit.
Yeah.
And she walks through the centipedes and stuff. I really enjoy that.
We got a little callback to that in Dial of Destiny. I feel like when
we did. And it made me squirm in Temple of Doom, and it made me squirm in the movie theater with the bugs. Mm-hmm. I hate the bugs. They do such a good job in both of those movies of that. But I really enjoy that. It's like a 15 to 20 minute sequence of them going back and forth and do they or don't they go into each other's rooms, and then somebody tries to assassinate Indy, and then they go and almost get crushed, and then it leads to the best part of Temple of, maybe one of the best parts. I mean, those two parts are really good. But Kalima, and then he he rips off that guy's heart.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, straight up Dumb and Dumber, and it puts it in the bag. Bloop. Mm-hmm. You know, that whole sequence ending with Kalima is Temple of Doom for me. There's like a
30-minute cross section where it's just like, this is
Indy
fun, solid indie stuff. Everything else is real bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think Crystal Skull is kind of the same way. There's a little bit you can pull out of it that's fun and good indie neat stuff, and then the rest is just chuck it in the bin.
Indiana Jones television show where these things, these events happen, right? I need Temple of Doom where he's trying to hit on a lady and then finds his way to a fucking tunnel with a guy ripping another guy's heart out. Yeah. That's crazy Indiana Jones stuff. That's cool. That's a cool TV show. Anyways,
yes, probably. But I will say, as my last final thought, no snakes in this one, but we did get water snakes and eels, and that was pretty good. That was pretty good. That was fun, clever, very well done. All right, before we talk about what we have been up to, I would like to do a little edition of the Listener's Corner. If we're happy with what we've said on Indiana Jones,
we are happy.
Yeah. So Bruce Brown has written in. First time in a while, I feel like, or at least the first time that I've noticed it in time for recording. And he's talking about some, looks like just some TV shows that he is, it looks like recommending across the board. Ted Lasso, he has finished. He said it was a great show, very well done, ended in the best possible way. That's very much on my list of things to get around to now that it is kind of wrapped up. Also finished Succession on HBO, which is another one high on the list of would like to watch at some point in the near future. Said the ending was a surprising shit show, and that the show needed to end as it ran its course, but overall it was good and entertaining and a good perspective on family dysfunction and nepotism. He also watched something called Shiny Happy People, which is a look at the Duggar family, which was the 19 and counting, I think maybe they're Mormons. Sorry Mormons if they're not actually Mormons. But he describes them as total lunatics, seem like a big religious cult of nutcases, which I think is correct. And I think at least one of them has been convicted for, I don't know, child porn or something. Maybe I shouldn't, something like that. I don't know if they're actually Mormons. I'm trying to double check that again. Sorry,
there
Mormons
are different there's different denominations of Mormonism. So
they're devout independent Baptists and frequently discuss values of purity, modesty, and faith in God. Yes. Okay. All right. I think it. Well, I don't. Yes. One of them was arrested for child pornography. I think the same one also reportedly molested several girls. So yeah, anyway, real fuck shit is what I'm saying. So fuck them. But yes, lunatics, religious cult of nutcases sounds like an apt description, enough to the point where they had the show about them in the first place. Then they had to make a show about these fucking lunatics. So Shiny Happy People. I'm not sure what it's streaming on or whatever, but apparently a good look at it. And then finally, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, he says, was an excellent show. Great writing and great acting, well worth watching. And as we would have talked about, it stars Lois Lane, Rachel Brosnahan. So there you go. And that's what he has on the Listener's Corner. So now I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Meadows. How's dad life? How's it going? You're back to work, having to readjust to these sorts of things. But how's everything going over there?
So I took 2 weeks off after the birth of baby Bennett.
Right.
And I have
you filled us in. You were watching lots and lots of things. Finding Nemo, Finding Dory.
We ran the gamut on the kids stuff.
You were. I mean, there was a good solid 30 to 40 minute chunk of you just talking about shit you're watching. I'm like, this is unprecedented. Like Andrew 2 weeks at home.
I actually took notes. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it makes sense that he's just sitting here watching shit left and right. Probably
nice.
haven't been doing that. But anyway, what has been going on? What's been
Did I talk about? I did talk about the animated movie that I never watched with the elements and the emotions, right? I did talk about that.
That was one that came up. That's right.
Anyways, baby stuff. Little baby B is now just over a month old. He has gained just about 2 pounds. I think he weighs 11.10 as of last Friday.
Okay.
And he has gained 2 inches. He's grown 2 inches in 30
He was
days.
already a big boy. Now he's even bigger.
Now he's even bigger. He is starting to fill into his body a little bit better.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Like he just looks a little bit more proportionate.
Yeah, sure.
I think he's. I mean, I might be partial, but I think he's pretty cute. And he continues to develop into a cute looking little person. So that's cool. And he is sleep is. You hear parents talk about sleep and stuff, and there are, like, last night was incredible. Like, whenever you get slight increases in the quality of your sleep, just minimal amounts of increased sleep, the difference is tremendous. Like, you wake up just totally invigorated. And then there's other days where you just feel like, oh, God dang, he didn't sleep very good.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Like when you have one of those off days, they make for longer days. And being that Sarah's at home because she's a school teacher and she's out for the summer, so she's home with the baby. And then I'm going to work. It's hard to put into words how nice it is to come home.
Yeah.
Like, you have your family, at home. You have your dog and we had 2 cats, and then I have Sarah. It's always nice to come home to your significant other and your little animals. But it's truly something incredibly special. When you come home and you can see your little baby there and he like looks up at you and he smiles. It's,
Daddy's home.
It just, yeah.
Papa Meadows is back. That's what he says.
Papa Meadows is back. Yeah.
Internally. And you can't say it out loud right now, but that's what he thinks. What he's thinking.
And he just grunts at you. Oh, it's truly something special. It's really remarkable. It's so cool. So baby stuff is really cool, man. We watched, I've watched I got him caught up on all the Pixar shit. And now I started him on 90s X-Men. And oh yeah, it's classic. It's gold. We've gotten through the Phoenix Saga, which is pretty cool.
Excellent.
He kind of just like stares at it open jawed and doesn't say a whole lot. So that's mostly cool for me. I get to relive that stuff. I think that's really it with baby stuff right now.
Okay.
Now, Sarah and I did celebrate our 1-year anniversary.
Little date night action.
We took a date night to Koizi, which is an all-you-can-eat sushi place, where I took her on our first date. And on our first date, we went and saw Dumbo, which we talked about. And I didn't have a lot of words to say about Dumbo, if I remember right.
I think that's right.
And
you
to go full circle.
Why not do another Disney live-action remake?
Yes. And rather than being hot and heavy in the movie theater, we actually went and saw Little Mermaid, and we both fell asleep halfway through. We had a babysitter. We went out and we watched Little Mermaid, and we both fell asleep. And then we woke up in the middle of the movie and we're like, "Oh, we gotta go," and so we left. Little truncated review of the Little Mermaid.
At least a chunk of it, anyway.
At least the chunk that we watched. The CG is nauseating. How we live in a world where they
didn't call James Cameron, is what you're saying.
No, and it's more than just looking bad. Like it's the camera motions that they chose to take. Right? It's the way that they chose to shoot the things that they did.
Okay.
And then there's like this weird disconnect between they want photorealistic animals and this and that, but then at the same time there's birds and talking underwater. Doesn't make any sense. I feel like what's the shrimp? Is that Sebastian?
The
like
mollusk? Crab?
Yeah, a little crab.
So I think that's Sebastian. Yeah.
I feel like whoever did the voice acting on him, it almost felt like a real bad impression of.
Okay.
I thought that was real bad. The movie is terrible. And And not like there was a lot of people complaining. Like I had one lady sit at the car lot, she wore a Little Mermaid shirt, and I told her, "Oh man, Little Mermaid's real bad," and I really stepped in the shit there. And
maybe she thought you were thinking, of the cartoon.
Do you know what she said?
I don't know.
She said though.
What did she say?
She goes, "Oh, I completely agree. When they put out there that the Little Mermaid was black, I refused to watch it.
Yep.
Why ruin a good thing?
Welcome to Dade City.
Why ruin a good thing?
This is Florida. We can't have black mermaids."
Like, I've never heard such an outright racist thing. It's been a long time since I've heard such an outright racist thing. Like, it wasn't...
Welcome to Ron's America.
Why ruin a good thing by making the Little Mermaid black? Anyways, I'd like to stand on this podcast and say, okay...
That wasn't your issue with the movie.
That was not my issue with the movie.
Okay.
And she is the only redeeming quality about that movie.
Oh, okay.
She actively made that movie better.
She did everything she could. Everything else let her down.
Yes. Anyway, so that was that.
Do you think
we went to bed.
Go ahead. This makes me want to watch it on Disney Plus. I don't think it's in theaters anymore at this point. But I kind of want to give it a go now. That makes me more intrigued of just like how bad can it look. And you know what? If it's that bad, I can fall asleep, or I can just hit home. I can hit home on the remote.
It could have been the beers. Maybe I was feeling nauseated because of the beers. I doubt it.
Maybe a little lack of sleep probably also influenced
lack of sleep. You get some beers, and then you put me in like a first person exploring the ocean with flips and shit in the ocean.
Oh no!
It was.
About to lose your soup.
I told Sarah, Sarah, I feel sick. This is fucking... She goes, me too.
Is it like the Temple of Doom Donkey Kong Mighty Kart sequence? You're just like, on this ride, and you're like, oh, God, right. Get me off this ride, please.
It was weird. It was bad. Anyways, moving forward, so we celebrated our 1 year anniversary, but it was actually like a day or two after. No, it was a couple days before. Golly. Okay. It was a couple days before our anniversary because I had Sarah's dad scheduled a fishing charter for quite a few of us on the day of our actual anniversary. Woke up so I worked on Saturday. I worked on Saturday till 4, and then I actually went straight home and tried to get some shut-eye because I had to wake up on Sunday, my only day off, at 3:30 to get to his house by 4 to get to the fishing charter by 6. And then we were on a boat for 12 hours, and I didn't get back home that day until 10:30. Okay. It was a thing. But we caught a shit ton of fish. It was excellent. A lot of grouper, a lot of snapper. We ate fish for a week.
Cooked them up. Burnt yourself a little bit, look like?
A little bit. I did good. My legs were burnt. My legs were fried. And I put sunscreen on 9 times. I told everybody I was going to wear jeans on the fishing charter, and they all we would have made fun of you. Sarah saved me. There's a whole story about that. But anyways, I hate the sun. I hate Florida. I really hate Florida. Leave. It's coming. It's coming. Anyways, so fishing charter was that was cool. Fish was totally worth it. And then we went to Blue Ridge on 4th of July weekend. It was my weekend off. Yep. And we were closed on, so I had the weekend off, and then we were closed on Tuesday, so I just took the Monday off as well. Yeah. And we drove back on the actual 4th of July on that Tuesday. Got to ride my dirt bike. Last time we were up in Blue Ridge, Sarah and I got super sick the week of Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. And, it was just fucking miserable.
Yeah, it was a total waste of a vacation. It was terrible. So it was really nice to be able to hop back on the bike, go riding all day, relax in the cabin, listen to the river, and just have a good time with family. It was a really, really lovely weekend, and much needed. On that trip, I started a show called Suits, which is about lawyers. And it's pretty good. I like it. It's pretty interesting. I'm not too far in it. I think I'm 2 episodes in. I haven't watched a whole lot since because I've also been watching an awesome, incredibly awesome series with Ewan McGregor and Charlie. God, I can't remember Charlie's last name. But Ewan McGregor was in a movie with this Charlie guy, and they became very good friends. And the first show that they made together is called The Long Way Round. Have you heard of this?
I'm not sure if I have. No.
So The Long Way Round, Ewan McGregor and his buddy Charlie, they get these. They're not really enduros, but they're BMW motorcycles. They load up and they leave the UK and they drive east on their motorcycles through all these European countries, and then they hop on a boat ship back to Alaska.
Well, okay, yeah. Okay, I haven't seen it, but I know I have seen.
I've never heard of this at all. So they started Long Way Rounds from like 2004. They circumnavigate the globe,
and then they did more of it, more kind of in more recent years. Looks like.
Right, so I watched Long Way Round. Long Way Down is from the top of Scotland, I think, all the way down to the tip of Africa. Sarah and I finished that. Sarah watches the show too. So it's a show she's interested in. It's really cool. And then Long Way Up we just started. That's from the tip of South America up to LA on an electric motorcycle.
Okay.
We have similar bikes up in Blue Ridge, and that's kind of how we ride and stuff in Blue Ridge, which is pretty cool. But it just sounds so cool to think 3 months and just ride and just go somewhere, go camping and meet new people, and just that just sounds so cool. I have been playing Tears of the Kingdom. And I play it infrequently enough to suck and not know where I was going every time I turn it off and turn it back on. And I also picked up an oldie, but like one of the besties, Rocket League. I've been trying to play a little bit more Rocket League.
Okay, all right.
It's still an incredible game, and people still play it because it's fucking awesome.
It's simple, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Is it's just fun, pick up and play, and it just doesn't really get old.
No,
it gets frustrating, but it doesn't really get old.
No. And then I started Secret Invasion, not very far in it.
Okay.
But it's a thing. It's got a really bad intro sequence. I don't know what the fuck they were smoking when they made the intro animation. It looks like straight up like AI.
They got the de-aging team on it.
My god, real bad. And I really want to finish the Apple TV sci-fi show. The one based off of the fucking iRobot guy. Asimov.
Foundation. Foundation.
Yeah,
Foundation. That's it. Was there another season that came out for that?
Season 2's coming out sometime.
It's coming out. Okay. And you didn't finish the first one.
No, I watched the first episode and I thought it was. I remember thinking it was all right. It's really pretty and it looks cool. It's got good actors and stuff in it. And for some reason I never continued forward with it. So
yeah, I don't know.
Anyways, so
it's there.
That's what I've been up to.
More coming.
Lots of stuff.
Yep. Not as much as last time though. Although this episode's it's knocking on the door. It might be just as long as it was. To say, I think once upon a time it was just the two of us, and then Anna had to make a cameo because she just had to. Let's put it that way. But that's how we do things. I've been up to a few things. Really, this may be closer to at least the norm for now because we've between this episode, it's been probably close to 3 weeks since we've really recorded. That's and then true. Prior to the Spider-Verse episode, it was kind of the same deal. So we're basically recording 2 episodes to cover what we would usually cover in 4 episodes. So they're long and winding, but we're covering everything we can. But I've been up to a few things. So I think within a day or two after we recorded our Spider-Verse episode, I went up to Vermont with Anna. We usually do kind of what you do, do a vacation, stay up, and enjoy nature, or stay up by Lake Champlain. We rented a camp up there for a week and a half. So we were up there for 10 nights, with her extended family. And, it was nice. It's just
really
like
best.
Like the perfect kind of getaway is just being able to go somewhere where you can, like for us, we can go down to the beach and read, lay out in the sun, go swimming in the lake, and then we can kind of come back up and relax, read. I set up the Switch. We actually the TV that they had in the camp we rent is very sad. It's like I don't know, maybe even 20 inches might be too big. So I brought Zelda with me, and I was like, I'm not fucking playing Zelda on this thing. So I ended up playing a lot of retro games on it because it felt appropriate. So I played a lot of Donkey Kong Country, the first one, and I think I'm like 60-70% of the way through it. Played Star Fox 64, WarioWare on the Game Boy Advance.
Is this a tube TV?
It's not it is a flat screen, but it's smaller than I think my monitor is, quite literally, or at least the same. My monitor's 27 inches. I'd say it's all right. It's probably a 24-inch TV would be my guess, based on looking at my monitor right now and like putting that to scale. So I sat nice and close. I also played this Japanese game that never got a release in the States called Kururen, where you play as like it's a Game Boy Advance game. You play as like a spinning helicopter thing, and you have to like navigate it through little puzzles without touching the walls. It's like Operation kind of shit. Yeah. It's pretty cool, and it gets fucking ridiculous, so I stopped playing. Like it gets stupid in the way, like how you're supposed to navigate it without touching. I'm like, no, I don't have the patience for this. So I played a lot of retro games, but for the most part, it really was just relaxing, spending time with family, kind of the same deal as what it sounds like what you did for the 4th of July. We came back before the end of July, but it was a good time. I'm almost done with Dave Grohl's memoir, The Storyteller. It's really, really fantastic. It covers his youth, his time with Scream, with Nirvana, starting up with Foo Fighters, and I think there's some stuff where it talks about him playing with Queens and them Crooked Vultures and stuff, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. Having kids, something you know a little thing or two about. And I have read a little sliver of Edgedancer, the Brandon Sanderson novella.
No way! Good for you.
Not very far into it, because I think you have it too, like the little mini bound version of it, which the prologue is just the chapter from Words of Radiance, and I reread that because it'd been a while since I'd read it. So, but I'm in I think I'm on like chapter 4 or 5 in it, so I'm really not far into it. But trying to get back into the Sanderson world a little bit, and maybe go for Oathbringer. Oathbreaker. I think that's Game of Thrones. So. So yeah, that's kind of going to be my next, I think, big book project probably.
It's a good one. I would love for you to read it.
Yeah, seeing family, spending time with family, drinking lots of beer. To be fair, that's pretty much how I spent the time up in Vermont. It's just beautiful up there. Love going every year. And that was good. So we came back in time for the 4th of July, and it ended up being the 4th of July weekend from hell, is how I would describe it. Because. Well, you got a little bit of a taste of it. Anna did a number on her ankle, but that wasn't all. When she came back, I think some of the family members had been passing along some sickness, and it reached Anna, unfortunately, so that just in time for us to get home, she was bedridden and, with the 100+ fever and sore throat and cough and, you name it, every symptom under the sun. Not COVID. It was not COVID. Not the flu. Not strep throat. Nope, she had fucking pneumonia. Sick. She had fucking pneumonia. So,
oh man.
So I think she's almost done with her antibiotics, treating it. But the sickness has basically been cured. But we ended up taking her to urgent care, which is only a block and a half from us. So it's an easy walk. Typically, it's an easy walk. Took her over to urgent care. She got treatment for that, got everything she needed. And literally on the way out of urgent care, it's about 3 or 4 steps up. On the last step, she trips and falls. And fucks up her both of her feet. Actually, she scraped one and did hurt her toe, and the other one, she could tell something was wrong with her ankle. Now, you would think the bright thing would be to do, all right, we're literally right in front of the door back into urgent care.
Back inside.
Let's turn around and go back in. But she, she's a little rattled, but she shakes it off. She hobbles home, and the next morning she wakes up and she's just in so much pain, and her ankle is swelled up to basically the size of a tennis ball. And it's well, something's wrong here. So So she couldn't quite make it to urgent care on feet, so I had to drive her the block and a half. They did some x-rays and no fractures, but she sprained it pretty good. So she's been wearing an air cast, as I think she described. The experience of navigating into the movie theater. But it's still ailing her pretty. Like, she can't walk, basically, great right now. She can hobble around, and her right foot's okay enough that she can kind of use that for most of the support, but it's been pretty limiting overall, so she's had a real shitty go of it since we've been back. I didn't get sick at all, which was awesome, so I was able to take care of her the whole time, which is kind of, as you are now a caretaker, it can be a little winding and exhausting at times. I'm not saying it's the exact same scenario that I find myself in, but sure. It's a lot to take on. You've probably had instances where Sarah's been sick, and it's the burden's left on you, and it's a bit of a heavy lift sometimes.
It makes you wonder how, especially when you're the one that's sick. Like when I had COVID, I was on my deathbed.
Yeah.
I think I might have just fucking killed over if I didn't have somebody helping me.
Sure.
I would have just been fucking dead.
And she probably would have been the same way. I mean, it's she was having a real rough go of it. So the sickness itself is basically gone, and now it's just the ankle that she's left dealing with. I think they're going to do an MRI to see if she has either some ligament or tendon damage, because it doesn't sound like there's any bone breakage. But if it's not getting any better, then there might be something that's kind of pretty jacked up in there. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not anything that significant. Hopefully it's just, a slow healing wound. But that was basically that took us through the 4th of July weekend. So we didn't do shit for the 4th of July or anything like that. No corn on the cob for us. We rewatched all the indie movies kind of during that time.
Okay.
And we kept the Harrison Ford-a-thon going. We watched Air Force One on the 4th of July. I think we finished it on the 5th, technically, but we started it on the 4th. Solid, fun, kind of popcorny kind of flick. Gary Oldman plays a crazy Russian terrorist.
Love Gary Oldman. He's the best.
Yeah, he's great, and Harrison Ford was great in it. He plays fucking president of the United States. I'd vote for that man.
I'd vote for him too. Absolutely.
It was good. I enjoyed that. I'd never. If I had seen it, it's been a long time. I didn't really remember any of it, so I'm not sure if I had actually.
It's been like a USAA or USA movie for me, like when I used to have cable as a kid.
I think I've seen chunks, like scenes here and there on TV. Is probably my honest experience with it to that point. So it was $5 on Amazon for the 4K. So I was like, all right, we'll do that. So yeah, I enjoyed it, had fun with it. We also watched Balto. Have you ever seen Balto?
No. Is that the one with the dog?
It's the wolf dog. Yeah.
Like where Harrison Ford has the wolf dog, right? The CG.
Oh, no. No, I don't know what that one is. Well, I don't think that's Balto. Balto is an animated movie from the 90s. Which was much like Indiana Jones and the Flash, was also a box office bomb because it got destroyed by Toy Story. It came out around the same time, and so Toy Story just absolutely smashed it to bits. It's about he's a wolf dog. He's half dog, half wolf, and he's a misfit with all the other dogs in this little Alaskan town, and all the kids fall sick, and so there has to be dogs that are leading a sled full of medicine from a nearby town, and so Balto has to step up to be. He has to step up to be, to lead the dogs back home to get the medicine there in time to save the kids. I think Kevin Bacon's the lead voice actor for Balto. I'd never seen it. I guess it was a childhood staple for Anna, and we picked up the Blu-ray for like $7 or $8 a little while back, and
it's pretty great. I remember this.
Yeah, we watched it, and I thought it was very entertaining and good fun. I liked the animation style. He's got like a goose that like he's friends with, and a couple of polar bears, and it's like kind of classic animated stuff, kid friendly sort of thing. But I enjoyed it. I had fun with Balto. I will say I had fun with Balto. So it's
got to be better than the Harrison Ford movie I was thinking of.
Yeah, I don't. Well, so there's a Togo or something like that. There's a Willem Dafoe movie on Disney
Plus. It's the Call of the Wild, is what I was.
Call of the Wild. That's what it is. Yeah, but there's a movie that's also about another sled dog that was like part of this same real because the Balto is based off of a real life dog. He wasn't a wolf dog. He was just a husky, just a regular old husky. No, not a wolf husky. But there's another dog that was part of the relay team like Balto apparently did the last leg of it, but there was another dog that did like 150-mile stretch and like really did most of the trek, just didn't finish it. I think called Togo or something like that. And there's a Willem Dafoe movie on Disney Plus, which is supposed to be pretty good. So we might watch that at some point too, since we're in the Balto mood or whatever. But yeah, that's it on the movie front. On the TV side of things, we finished The Newsroom, which was good. 3 seasons of it. Aaron Sorkin show. And I've talked about it a couple times, I know, on the past few episodes, and I think overall it's good. It's not great. It has its moments. It has its enjoyable characters. It's not as good as The West Wing or anything like that, but I think we breezed through it pretty quickly. Each season, I think, got progressively shorter, which was kind of nice. And yeah, it's not anything that I'm going to write home about, but I enjoyed my time with it enough to blow through it pretty quickly in a few weeks' time. Now, on the other hand, a new TV show in 2023 is it's a fast contender for one of my favorite shows of the year, Jury Duty.
Did you finish it?
We finished it, and oh my God, was it incredible! I mean, I know you watched it, and I know you talked about it. And I watched the first episode maybe last we recorded, and I was like, it's good, but whatever. Oh man. Second episode on, every episode brought something to the table, and it fucking awesome. It was amazing. I had to like rack my brain. Like, what are the shows that came out this year? Because this could be the favorite. And I was like, well, shit, The Last of Us came out, so I guess not.
That's true. Yeah,
the Jury Duty is probably going to be the funniest show that I watched this year. Oh my God, highly, highly recommended. I think they moved it from Freevee to Prime, so you can just watch it with Prime now.
That's a lot better.
And
I had to watch it on Freevee.
Yeah, no ads or anything like that. And just obviously, like all the bit players that are played by unrecognizable actors were I think were all incredible. But they found a good one with Ronald Gladden, the one guy that they found to be their mark for this. Was such a genuinely good, perfect fit for this. Amazing reactions to the craziness and the chaos around him. James Marsden was awesome, and his giant shits. But I think this is not necessarily a spoiler. I'd say honestly, go in as cold as possible. Like, you don't need to watch anything. Just jump right in. It's 7 or 8 episodes, half hour each. You can fly through it in a night, honestly, and have a grand old time with it. The soaking scene in particular, it's not really, it's an out of context spoiler. That had to be the hardest I've laughed, and I think the entire year. I mean, that was the funniest fucking thing I've seen in such a long time. I'm a lawyer, so Jury Duty is kind of fun and kind of funny for me to kind of see it from the legal standpoint. But just from a comedy standpoint, it was absolute gold. The way that they managed to pull it off is it's nothing short of an incredible achievement. So everyone should check out Jury Duty. They should do it. I also have started Secret Invasion, just 1 episode in. I think 3 or 4 have aired so far of 6, so definitely got some catching up to do there. I thought it was a solid Marvel entry thus far. Maybe we'll do an episode on it when it wraps up, but we'll see. Still a couple weeks away, so we got time to figure it out. But if nothing else, we'll talk about it in some capacity, because I think I'll see it through to the end. But not much to note thus far. It's kind of what you'd expect it to be, I feel. So last but not least for me, I beat The Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
Finally, however many years later, which I think I might have started it before we recorded our fucking Indiana Jones bonus episode. That's how long ago I started Breath of the Wild, and I finally did the damn thing, and I finished it. I felt like an idiot when I did it, because I'm like, why did I wait so long? Like, I built up Hyrule Castle as this thing that like was going to be such a crazy thing to go through, and like it's cool and it's different from the rest of the game. But I was done with it in like an hour and a half. I beat Ganon in like my first try in 5 minutes, and I'm like, okay, all right, well. And it's a really good ending. It was a good ending. I was happy with it. I was content. I felt satisfied. But I was just kind of like, I didn't really need to do it. The nice thing about it is I kind of got familiar with the mechanics again. So I have now started Tears of the Kingdom. I've beaten the Great Sky Island part. I've gone down and I've used the first tower, so you can get the first section of the map. And
yeah.
That's kind of where I feel like it turns you loose a little bit. Like, you should probably go here, but like, do whatever the fuck you want. At that point,
I found a fucking dragon, got my ass kicked in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, whatever, But yeah, I think the transition has been nice to be able to go pretty seamlessly into Tears of the Kingdom, because I feel like, without spoilers, major spoilers, Breath of the Wild ends on like a hooray, you saved the realm kind of thing, and then Tears of the Kingdom's like, nah, just kidding. It's kind of is kind of how it seems. So it's been a real, things are great. No, that shit again.
They get
Everything
real
sucks.
shitty.
Yeah. But I'm enjoying Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't gotten to play around with the mechanics too much yet. I've unlocked all the abilities, but I see people building all these fucking vehicles and crazy ass shit.
Built a Metal Gear or anything like that?
I've been struggling to fly in the fucking wing things, the Zonai wings. I'm like, how the hell do I fly in this shit? That was a struggle for me. But I'm enjoying it. I think, like I said, I'm at the point now where it finally is letting you kind of just do your own thing. So I'm keen to re-explore Hyrule. I was worried about whether it would feel too rehashy, but so far it's felt, I don't know, to me it's felt fresh enough, even coming straight from, messing around in Breath of the Wild.
The new mechanics that they introduce alone.
Yeah, it's really different enough.
Everything, right?
Yeah. So I've been impressed that it just doesn't feel like more of the same. It is more of the same, but there's still enough new stuff there to keep you interested and engaged. So I'm having a good time with it. And I will continue to put more hours into it. I'm sure many more hours. I would guess it'll occupy my life for quite some time in the future, I expect. So I think that's it for me. Are you ready to?
That's it for me, man.
Are you ready to hang up the hat on this episode? Or do you want to snatch it back? You want to snatch the hat back?
Hang it up.
You're hanging it up. Oh, okay.
We might snatch it up for a Mission Impossible.
We could do that, and that sounds like a good plan to me. All right, well, let me do this part here. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat if you want to get very particularly early access to all of our regular episodes. It's very handy for that, especially when they're these 3-ish hour long affairs. They take a minute for me to edit. I think I said as much at however many hours ago it was. I didn't do any editing for Spider-Verse while I was in Vermont. It was like 2 weeks, so I'm just like, I can't be fucked. And so I'm going to try to be a little bit better about this one, and hopefully there's not as long of a turnaround time. But either way, Patreon is very good for getting early access, so you don't have to wait. And you get to hear all of our thoughts as soon as possible. Maybe we'll do some bonus episodes at some point later in the year. Probably not in the near future, to be quite honest, with all the baby bee and dad life stuff. I think time's pretty tight as it is. We can manage time to record every so often and spend a few hours being like, what's been going on for the past 2-3 weeks of your life? I think because Mission Impossible is right around the corner, the next one might not be as, lengthy perhaps, but maybe we'll have a shit ton to say about Mission Impossible. We'll just have to wait and see. But either way, patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. Otherwise, you can go to our website, which is watchreviewrepeat.com, and get quick links to all of our social media accounts, find the latest episodes, whatever you need on there. Our social media accounts, if you want to go directly there, at Watch Review Repeat on Instagram. We are at WRR Pod on Twitter, Facebook.com/Watch Review Repeat if you want to like our Facebook page. If you have questions, comments, and suggestions and want to be on a future edition of the Listener's Corner, like Mr. Bruce Brown was, you can send your thoughts our way to watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Thoughts on Indiana Jones, thoughts on Mission Impossible, whatever.
Any thoughts?
Yeah. Zelda. You want to talk about Zelda? You want to talk?
Let's talk about corn on the cob.
If you were that man in the theater, and you said that was me, he's describing me. I made those two people leave. I made them move. That was me. Right in. Tell us what's going on in that little brain of yours.
Maybe it's a big brain and we just don't know.
Maybe, yeah. It's the biggest brain there is. He's big. Very big brain, bigger brain than most. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But right in. I don't know if I'd love to know, but I'm going to say it. I'll say that I'd love to know, and I may regret that later. Our intro and outro tracks, Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, which is licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. And I mean, you've already said as much, but should we choose to accept it, I think that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 will be our next episode, our next outing, our next mission. So I'm game. If you're game,
I'm game.
You gotta. It's another long one. I think a 2 hour 40-ish minute affair, and it's only part 1.
That's all right.
So, but it's Tom Cruise and it's Mission Impossible, and last few ones have been pretty fucking great. So let's see if they can keep it up. Keep the franchise moving in the right direction. So yeah, looking forward to it. And I will look forward to recording with you again, hopefully in the near future, not in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Sooner than that is maybe the hope and expectation, right? So I'll let you take everyone out whenever you're ready to do so.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Later's on the Minjay.